We are ready. Day 8. Future is here. Future is now, right now. This is the future. You're in 2024.
Is this
I'm here
the
with
first
Chris.
Monday? Is the first Monday or the second Monday?
Well, New Year's Day was a Monday.
Okay, so yeah, so it's second Monday of 2024. So we're here to help you start your week out right with debate.
We're here to help you into the future. Come and join us.
Right.
The future.
It said whenever I clicked on the link, it said we had like 3 people waiting. I don't know how accurate that is, but it wasn't me. So I don't know who was waiting, but I don't see anybody in the comments right now. If you're out there,
it's not like they just immediately start commenting when we hit
Sometimes
live.
they do. Sometimes they do. Like literally, as soon as we started,
Well,
we got
comments. Let them be there, do their thing. Hey, y'all, whoever's there, hi.
We're cooking in this fire right now, so let them cook.
Yeah. Well, we were supposed to have our conversation with the devil today, so.
Right, and there we are. See, there's good old Jack. Jack of all trades.
Oh, by the way, Jack, if you want to come up and premiere that video, feel free. That'd be a good time to do that too. Your new video. So what are we talking about? Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh no, I was going to say something to Jack. I'm going to send Jack the same thing I sent you because I think he'll think it's funny too. We can't play on the stream, so I sent Jeff what I think is like the most hilarious, like terrible band of all time. And I'll send it to you. What happened to it? It's gone now. Oh, that's right, because I scrolled way the fuck up to try to find like the beats again. Okay, jump to present. There is a jump to present button. Oh, okay, cool. Anyway, yeah. But Jack, I said this because me and Lindsay were joking around earlier about the video that you sent about that lady that was crazy about the. I'll put it in the chat here. Just watch this on YouTube. It's funny. It's a terrible bad Christian band that was so bad that they're kind of amazing. So and it made me smile. So anyway, yeah, I guess we're gonna have the conversation with the AI devil. I had the every intention of doing all that research I said I was going to do yesterday, and then I got distracted doing AI images, and then I fell asleep. So that didn't happen. I need to start prioritizing my time better. Probably I messed around that AI image program for a long ass time, trying to adjust the prompts and stuff like that until I actually ran out of. It's weird, like the Bing image generator gives you credits or something. Like you automatically, when you sign up, you get so many credits that help it generate the images faster. It just basically it's just an artificial speed limit that if you pay them for more credits, you can have them generate about 30 seconds faster. After you run out of credits, then it takes I don't know, 3 minutes to 5 minutes to generate a single set of images. So as opposed to a minute and a half. So I mean, I didn't pay for them obviously, but but they ended up taking a lot longer than I.
Okay, well, yeah, just send them to me whenever you get them.
No, I'm gonna go to the computer right now and grab them, and I'm just gonna send them on the email. On the emails, or I'll just send them in Discord. Probably that'll be the easiest.
I did have a few. Okay, and then we're on the show. I did have a few tweets to go over to share that I bookmarked.
Let's do them. I'm wireless. I can talk to you from over here.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna tweak my settings real quick. Yeah, we're working on these thumbnails for our rebrand, and I'm definitely not the image guy.
Well, neither am I. I can.
You way more one than I am.
I mean, yeah, I can. I actually can. I can actually make the art myself. But in this case, I was just using AI, so it wasn't just kind of cheating, really. And honestly, in some ways, even though some of the more complicated graphic parts of it, at least when I create an image, I know the text. I might misspell things because I'm stupid, but not because I'm AI stupid. So, Okay.
All right, let's watch this charming, lovely person. This is Google's DEI leader. She works for DEI Google. Hopefully, she's one of those people that's getting downsized. But let's hear what she has to say.
In the year 2023, it also amazes me how many people are like, well, I don't see color, or it would be so much better if we just didn't worry about someone's skin tone. You as an individual are contributing to the problem because our broader society sees color, and it's not just physically seeing a color. There is so much more to it than just that. And if you don't understand that, you are again part of the problem. And it's just to keep telling people that over and over is so frustrating. And I was just on TikTok, and there's a trend where parents are teaching their kids not to see color, quote unquote. And I'm like, okay, so the next round of people that are going to be joining our workforce, this next generation, are going to be dealing with the same issues that we're dealing with now. Because to say you don't see color, you don't see me. You don't care to acknowledge the struggles that people like me face. And we're not looking for problems. We're not. You know,
they're not looking for problems. They're not looking for problems and everything. What are you talking about? You're the crazy one. I'm not crazy.
Bothers me so much. We are her problem. We're not the problem. We are what she thinks the problem is. And I don't like. I will fight her over it. If you want to problematize me, be prepared to come on. Like, bring it on. But she's talking about like some people don't see race, but the vast majority of societies. Well, then go talk to them and teach them not to see race. Don't make the people that don't see race the problem because the other idiots out there still see race. That's like reversing the problem and reversing the locus of solution. Like it's making the people that are advanced and sophisticated enough to look past race to the individual beneath the problem. And we have to pay for all the dummies out there that still see race. She for some reason that she really has me exercised right now. And how sanctimonious she is, like I've determined what the problem is and you are it. It's not a dialogue about what the problem is. It's not her opinion. It's that I obviously have the problem diagnosed, and I am here to tell you that if you don't agree with me, in my opinion, you are part of the problem. It's that unilateral authoritarianism.
Yeah, there's really not many.
And this
ways
is Google. This is the DEI lady at Google. Hi, Creature Tommy. Oh, is that Creature Tommy? Is that Tommy or like a parody Tommy? I thought you pride yourself on not slumming over here in our comments. If it is Tommy, anyways, I have some more tweets. But yeah, when people ask me why I don't like wokeness and DI, that's why. That is the perfect example of why, because it's retarded.
It's so stupid. Like, we're not looking for problems. I mean, I'm totally making up a problem right now, but I'm not looking for them. I'm inventing them. So it's different. That's the difference. I'm inventing the problem. I'm not making it up. You know, I mean, if the problem existed, then it would be different because I'd be looking for the problems that existed. But I'm not. I'm inventing them in my brain.
What is Twitter doing?
In the future, you can be your own problem.
I don't like this. Why is Twitter? Usually, when you click on a tweet, it blows it up, and now it's just putting it here on the side. I don't like that change. I swear, Twitter has just gone to crap since Elon took over. Every time I use it, each new change is worse than what it was changing. So, anyway, this is from Jonathan Haidt. And see, I can't show more because it brings it over here. So we're looking on the right side of this little box now. We're not looking at Madonna. What?
I wonder how tall Jonathan Haidt is. It would be really funny if he was really short.
I don't know. But he says the teen mental health crisis was not caused by reality getting worse around 2012. Their material and physical health improved steadily. He even has a little graph chart showing it. Absence of depressive symptoms. Child and adolescent thriving index. He says, to paraphrase Epictetus, it is not events which disturb teens. It is the device through which they interpret all events. And I would say it's not even the device, it's the paradigm. But the paradigm is influenced by the content on the devices that they're using to interpret events. So it's still a cognitive process, not necessarily a technological one. So I thought that was a good point, that this mental health crisis that we kind of all see happening is it's not actually, there's nothing in the world that's causing it. It's the mental, and that's true like about mental health in general, and trauma and triggers and emotional regulation, all that. In fact, there was some comments. It's the story that you're telling yourself about all that stuff, and the narrative that you're creating. And I think social media gives you a larger data set to create narratives from than traditional forms of media, and it doesn't give you the guidance on how to put together a realistic narrative intelligently. And then the other one I want to
sounds right.
the other one I want to highlight, because I've said this so many times before, and it's just nice to see someone on Twitter saying the same thing about the gay rights movement. About the slippery slope, that gay marriage was a slippery slope. He says there was no reason for gay partnerships being legally recognized to inevitably lead people pretending men are women or women are men. There is no line of causation there. The overriding issue has nothing to do with gay rights, but the live and let live attitude, which is basically decent, being taken advantage of. The improving attitude that helped gay rights, but also provides that improving attitude helped gay rights, but also provides no defense against lunatic ideologies. It appears linked. This is the point I've made over and over. It appears linked because the TQ attach themselves to LGB and are intentionally riding on the coattails. They want it to be a slippery slope. It's the entire rationale of the TQ to make it a slippery slope. So that's what I said. And hang on, there was one other. I guess I didn't bookmark it. There was one other commenter that made a good point of how after we got gay marriage, where are the comments? God, I hate this new Twitter. I might even stop using Twitter on the stream.
You're gonna go to.
There was a comment about after we got gay marriage, gay men. There currently are no gay activists because there's no reason to have them. Once we got marriage, we stopped being activists and we joined society. We just started living our lives. And so the activists that left like a void that the trans and queer people moved in on, and their activists replaced what used to be the gay activists. Because I used to be one, kind of. I was I'd come as more of an advocate than an activist. But once we got the goal we were advocating for, so all the people you see, the trans, the queer, all that, those are not gay activists. Those are not people like me. That is a completely new wave of activists, a completely new generation of activists. They're protesting for completely different things than we were, and they came in and they took the spot that we vacated once we got marriage and could then rejoin society and live the ordinary lives that we were fighting to live the whole time. Hey, Chuck, parody account. Oh, good. NeuroJack has a video that we're going to. Is this one of your new ones? Oh, this okay. We're gonna play, and it's 10 minutes, and his videos are montages of images, so it's good to have him here today to comment, and you can ask him questions.
Yeah, you can get a view into the conspirator mind, and I think that Chris is a good guy to ride shotgun because some of the references are going to be kind of hard to get unless you kind of look at it from a theological standpoint. But I think you'll get most of it and I think you'll like a lot of it because it'll have some imagery and some sounds that I think will resonate with your satanic heart, Jeff.
Oh, are you going to jingle the keys for us? We all love that.
And I'll be honest, when I watch your videos, I really don't know what I'm looking at. Like I'm not very visual, so I don't know what I'm looking at when I watch.
That's why I do a lot of sound. Actually, the sound is probably just as important as the visual. I think the visuals get overlooked at. I think the audio is actually more important for the most part. So I'll keep that in mind.
Well, let's take a look and see. This is called "What is Accelerationism?"
An esoteric guess.
The following program deals with a controversial subject. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation. The viewer is invited to make a judgment.
Camera phones to take pictures. To me, it look like a leprechaun to me. I gotta do look up in the tree. Who else is leprechaun? Say yeah!
I love that video. Oh my God! Sorry, guys. That's one of my all-time favorite internet videos. Is the leprechaun drawing from that thing? Is like.
Hang on, I have a question. This music, is it going to get me copyrighted?
it's all brief, and I'm almost positive it won't because it didn't get copyrighted on mine. So.
Do they look at streams? Do you think they look at streams closer than they look at videos? Is it possible?
It's not people looking. It's bots. It like they they detect the music. Remember that little tiny clip of a video, that opening show that the Bollywood
I know.
people did?
That's what I'm saying. Do you think that the bots look more at streams?
The music on this one is going to be from a unknown artist, so I'm pretty sure it's not going to get copywritten.
Oh, it sounded like OMD.
Well, that music's from Unsolved Mysteries, the show, but I don't think that's copyrighted.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if I get,
you've got to pay. You got to pay the fine.
If Neuro wasn't copyrighted, it won't copyright you. Okay.
And you can pause it every few seconds too. So.
Yeah, that's also true. Who's on the leprechaun? Yeah. Love that video.
Hanging right to the left of the devil. How the fuck you think I get so incredible? 666 and what you know about that? I'll sacrifice your sister, cut a star in her back. Ain't got no money, bitch, but my presence is sick. I started wearing black and changed my name to Red. Oh, motherfucker, yeah, I started a cult. You believe in God? I think you're a joke. Wishing I knew a Hell's Angel, 'cause white guys get killed up in jail. So
where did you get this from? What music is this?
Get killed if I tell. South of heaven with the skeleton
Beardo.
down in hell. I felt this way ever since I was a kid.
Get some, baby! Get some! Get some! Get some! Get some! Get some! Come on! Get it! Come on!
And feel free to stop it and ask questions if you guys have any questions. I'm happy to ask them.
I have a question. What am I looking at? What am I watching?
How did you like the music?
I think you're gonna have to do director's
Oh,
commentary.
I like that. I like that
really
song. I'm worried it's gonna get copyrighted, but I like this. Definitely like the song.
I mean, it was very pro-Nazi, but
no, the song is not pro-Nazi, but the image.
It was
no, it's about Satanism.
Oh, okay.
But no, I made the video.
If the video has a narrative to it, I'm having a hard time following. I don't know what it's.
Okay, so the beginning is basically the dude looking for a leprechaun, which we all know basically doesn't exist, right? And then you're watching Hitler rap a song about Satanism essentially.
Oh, I didn't get that part, that it was supposed to be Hitler rapping it.
You didn't see
Hitler
that?
being satanic.
You didn't see that?
No, I mean I heard the song and I saw the images of Hitler, but I didn't connect that Hitler was the one singing the song.
Okay, yeah, that was supposed to be the thing. And then now we're watching, and then it just abruptly stops, and you see this dude mowing down people in Vietnam.
Saying schizo.
Yeah, I'm kind of skipping around, but you'll see by the end. I think it'll make. Yeah, well, it probably won't make sense to you, but I'll try to tie it together. So you can let it play. I think you should stop every few seconds just to cover our bases,
In the end of the tunnel, I'm marching on a horse. You told me to follow him up north. The CIA broke in the doors. Martian man hit the floor. I heard they took him to North Dakota. Chopped him up, American soldiers. I ain't lying, he wrote this. No human could ever compose this. Up in heaven drinking wine with Moses. John Lennon got shot. That's what happens when you talk. Bob Marley is dead. They put a tumor in his head. you talk. Bob Marley is dead. They put a tumor in his head.
Do you think that that Bob Marley was killed intentionally by a tumor?
You didn't convince me. Let me see your real war face.
Of course he was.
Maybe because he's a black baby. That might be your cue, like how some people walk in the park with dogs to pick up girls. That might be your cue to get maybe a down low brother. I don't know. What do you think?
I got a bad.
I love Bruno.
It just occurred to me that Milo Yiannopoulos was basically just doing Bruno the whole time.
Yes, correct.
I just got that.
Watching you, so you have to make sure you're.
That's the connection I'm making too.
Yeah, it's really hard because you've got to remember, like, to put your right leg forward and then put your left leg forward and then, like, which one now? Right leg again, and then, like, the left one, and then sometimes you even have to turn.
Yeah, and especially the turn.
What is that you've got written on your helmet?
Born to kill, sir.
You write born to kill on your helmet and you wear a peace button. What's that supposed to be? Some kind of sick joke?
No, sir.
What is it supposed to mean?
I don't know, sir.
You don't know very much, do you?
No, sir.
You better get your head and your ass wired together or I will take a giant shit on you.
Yes, sir.
Now answer my question or you'll be standing tall before the man.
I think I was trying to suggest something about the duality of man, sir.
The what?
The duality of man, the Jungian thing, sir.
Whose side are you on, son?
Our side, sir.
Don't you love your country?
Yes, sir.
Then how about getting with the program? Why don't you jump on the team and come on in for the big win?
Yes, sir.
Son, all I've ever asked of my Marines is for them to obey my orders.
Why does he talk like that? So, did you put that little part in yourself about a Jungian thing, duality of man?
No, that's what he says in the movie.
Yeah,
that's how he explains
Metal
it.
Jacket, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still, and the other thing that's throwing me off is the title, accelerationism. Because it seems like about the military so far and stuff in the past. So I'm having a hard time connecting it to accelerationism.
Look up the definition of accelerationism. I want to make sure that we're on the same definition of, because it has many different uses. So why don't we look up the definition and make sure that we agree on the term?
It's a range of revolutionary and reactionary ideas in left-wing and right-wing ideologies that call for the drastic intensification of capitalist growth, technological change, infrastructure sabotage, and other processes of social change to destabilize existing systems and create radical social transformations.
That's a great definition. I agree with it.
Yeah, a more simple one would be, I think, that it's essentially the theory that that you have a bomb that's going to go off, and you have to you have the option of leaving it where it is or moving it to at least a less populated area where fewer people will get killed. The idea of accelerationism is to go ahead and detonate that bomb in the population center, but that has less people in it. Therefore, you can save the larger population because the bomb is going to go off no matter what you do.
It seems like paranoia. It seems unilateral.
No, I'm not for accelerationism. I mean, I'm not accelerationist at all.
Well,
I
have a problem with anybody that that believes that they know what the problem and the solution is outside of the current existing political process, and then go outside of it to take action on problems that they themselves determine.
This video, just to be clear, is about the definition more than about a solution. So that's what this is about. So like So let me explain that part. So basically, at the beginning, you have we're looking for a leprechaun. That's number one. Then we go into the Hitlerism and the Satanism stuff. 666, which refers to Solomon, in my opinion. And then you go from that to the Bruno stuff, and the Bruno stuff is about basically the U.S. military. I'm trying to draw a parallel between that and Hitlerism, essentially. And the gay stuff is kind of it's like I think Bruno is one of those masterful films because he hides a lot of truth in that humor that he's doing. It's a gay guy going into the military pretending to be you know, I think there's like a triple layer joke going on. He's a Jewish guy pretending to be a German guy who's pretending to be
Oh shit! Hang on,
like,
Jack.
yeah.
Okay.
And so basically that's the begin. We're halfway through the video, so that's the beginning, right? And then he
So
said, I think,
what's accelerating the military? Like, is it about
well,
the
the whole
feminization of our
definition.
military?
It's the whole definition that you said. And so what I'm saying is, you'll see by the end, I think, kind of where I'm going with it. But I think the whole thing is like what he said right there before that whole little intermission is he said, first you put your left foot forward, then you put your right foot forward, but then the turn is the hardest part. And if you look at like a lot of alt-right propaganda, they talk about the turn, the turn, the turn. They're talking about the turn. It's a military goose step thing or something where they're like, you do your little steps and then you take a turn, right? And I think
and
that's
a lot of those guys do fall down doing the turn. That's true.
yeah. So
Machine
yeah.
gave a definition of accelerationism about the current. This is how kind of understood it. The current political process is beyond repair, which it's not. It's just people not using it, and argue that the only way outside of the system is to go through it.
I think that's
It's people that have given
that's
up on
good.
liberalism. The woke have given up on liberalism. The accelerationists have given up on liberalism. The right-wing fascists have given up on liberalism. We live in a liberal society. If you don't want to participate with it, fine, but don't try to mess it up for everybody else. The majority of the people in this society have no problem with the process and doesn't think it's broken and continue to participate in it. These are people, I bet, that are not even attempting to participate in the process.
Well, see, this is where like a lot of people get mad at me because like I'm not a progressive at all, and I'm not a liberal really. But at the same time, I don't think we should just throw away liberalism and get rid of it just because people think that we can just accelerate into whatever's coming next and avoid the problems that we already have. You see what I'm saying?
Nothing is coming that we're going to revert or regress to some prior form of liberalism. There's no form of like something post-liberal that's superior to liberalism that's coming. All you're going to do is replace it with something more primitive than liberalism. It's the most advanced.
That's exactly
possible. Like something better, but I don't think it's likely.
Well, what is that?
Well,
I don't know.
exactly.
I think it's possible. I just don't think it's likely.
Well, I'm doing the probable here, not the possible.
Well, see, this is the problem, though. This is the thing. The people who want to be regressive and the people who want to be progressive are actually arguing for the same thing, whether they realize it or not. And I think this is why people, like the people, that we know as the Christian nationalists, are arguing basically for the same thing as the progressives. But they don't, whether they're aware of that or not. They're both accelerationists, but they accuse us of people who are like skeptical of both sides of being accelerationists because they see us as like not wanting to just destroy everything because out of fear that we're the accelerationists.
That would be my only quibble with what Machine Lies said there in his definition. It's not just to go through it. I think it's to go into it and blow it up from the inside. I don't think that they really think that the only way out, the only way to repair the system is to go through it. But I mean, I guess if you went through it with like a Mack truck and like ran over as many people in the middle as you can, maybe that would be the analogy. But I don't think they're really, because like going through it would be accepting the changes and trying to use them for bettering things. And I think that the term going through it implies something more positive than what I think. I think that's probably what he meant.
I think a lot of it is we have to be careful what we say because people are going to misconstrue shit. So I think a lot of time. I mean, for me, I hold back a lot of what I want to say because I think people can misconstrue it and call me,
why do you care?
Something
Just
I'm not.
say it. Who cares what people call you?
Well, we're talking about BOMB and we're talking about a lot of stuff. Like, I don't want to use words that are going to be misconstrued as something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to talk about violence. Okay, but a lot of this is about violence. At the end of the day, you see what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying.
It seems like it. Yeah, I condemn all political violence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
Yeah, we'll watch a little bit more.
Oh, hang on.
Strike brings more pickets and a lesson in negotiation tactics.
I'm bringing out the big guns. I shouldn't have to be casting spells, but if that's what it takes.
I'm not scared of these guys. These guys think they intimidate me, and they think that I think that they're scared. Oh well, if they're scared, that's all. No, I'm gonna bring the pain to them, and that's all it is. Then we go see.
Yeah, it's gonna be well wicked.
Step into the ballot box, blowing up the motherfucking spot. Tired of these cops, tired of these judges, tired of the rule. Waiting till the day to tell them all fuck you. Paying dues, cause it ain't enough. Got the boys in blue, still roughing me up. On the TV news, still talking it up. Never thought Tommy Lee could be fucking it up. Nothing to mayhem, filthy and Dutch. I walk up in your party and I spike in the punch. If you had enough, you know what to do. Oh yes, I proposition, fuck you. Tired of the boys in blue, running up on your crew. You know what to do, tell them fuck you. It's a proposition, fuck you, it's a proposition. Hanging all night in the streets, with your beef, smoking weed, drinking brew. You ain't got a clue, fuck you. It's a proposition, fuck you, it's a proposition. Some things that breed God by law. We rock hard hip-hop, rock stars, collage, a borough street, hoods and guns. Take your goods and run, getting naked for fun. Giving food to bumps, so spark another blood. Fuck you, it's a proposition. Tired of the boys in blue, running up on your crew. You know what to do, tell them fuck you. It's a proposition, fuck you. We're going too fast, we're going too fast. Ain't no way that bitch is never gonna last. We're going too fast, we're gonna crash. I push my luck, so what? I just don't give a fuck.
Gay and date a white guy while also being very put off by white people. I put my personal differences aside when I chose my lovers, and that says all you need to know. Sure, I said Nikki Haley is over the hill, but let's be honest, she ain't no Kentucky Fried Spring Chicken either. If you know what I mean. I also want to let you know this isn't the last you've heard of Don Lemon, because this body is way too bootylicious for you thirsty bitches. So you know I'll be right back like a Hunter Biden bag of crack. Bye-bye, CNN. Big Don is about to change the world more than George Floyd did in the summer of love. Stay tuned, hater.
Wait. Israel's in the Middle East. I fucking love Israel. Oh my God, I love Israel. I love Jews. Jews are amazing. I will not tolerate anti-Semitism. I signed laws into place to protect people from anti-Semitism, and those will be treated like hate crimes. And so now we have hate crimes for everyone, and we're all equal unless you're white. So the problem we've said we're going to solve by making everyone equal, we've just inverted it. And that's definitely not going to cause even more racism and resentment, and isn't intentional at all. Did I mention Israel? We must allow Israel to defend itself against Palestinian children, yielding very sharp sticks and rocks. And nukes don't exist, but if they did, I would press the big red fucking button from Florida to nuke those kids attacking Israel, just like I'm now signing Florida laws in Israel.
There you go.
That wasn't really DeSantis, right? That was fake audio?
Yeah, that was fake audio.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Yeah, it didn't even sound like his voice, to be honest.
Yeah, it's someone making fun of him because he was like signing some anti-Semitism law over in Israel about you can't say something bad about Jews or something, and I just added that part in at the end because I think the whole thing is like you start with Hitler and then you end up with anti-Semitism and all this. It's like I think it's all like a feedback loop to me. It's like you have both sides of the pole. It's like you have, okay, you hate Israel, you love Israel, you have the mean Mr. Mustache, but then we're using the tactics of mean Mr. Mustache, and he's the bad guy, and then he's the savior for the people who are, anti, whatever. So it's all the same thing at the end of the day, in my opinion. So it's just a big giant feedback loop, and they keep reinforcing each other at the end of the day.
Well, does anyone out there have questions for Jack or want to come on the show and talk to him about it, or anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I would expect you to have some questions.
I still I don't know what I want. The music was cool. I was enjoying some of the tunes. It looked like a music video from the day, like MTV would put those little montages and make those little music clips. So it looked like something off of MTV, and the music was cool, but I didn't get a storyline from it.
Well, I'll take that as a
the
compliment.
Vatican stuff looking like a snake. Y'all are some paranoid motherfuckers. That was hilarious.
Well, no, but that's kind of like that's the whole thing, though. It's like, it leads you to think like the most extreme things because you're looking at the situation and you're like,
it doesn't lead me to think that. It leads you to think that for reasons.
Well, I'm not saying that I believe that either. I'm illustrating the point of like, you're trying to figure out what's going on. It's like, why are we in this situation?
What's going on? Like, why is anything even going on?
Well, why do you think that people are accelerationists at the end of the day?
And I think they're related. I think there's some people that seriously don't trust their government for some reason. And I think that leads people to think there's something going on. I don't have the mistrust in the government that a lot of people do. I think it more or less works, and I've used it effectively. And I don't think there's necessarily something going on other than what we already see.
Well, you can use it and participate in it effectively. It doesn't mean that what everything they're doing is trustworthy or
I didn't say that, but I don't have the mistrust. Like, I don't think it's sinister and has like designs upon me. And I don't think
it doesn't have to be sinister
going on behind the scenes.
It doesn't have to be sinister intent, and I think that's kind of like the whole thing of like where I can't really figure out how to put this in the video. Like, the intent isn't necessarily the only thing that's important, although I do think that is part of what people focus on, rightfully so. But I think also at the end of the day, like, you will never know people's intent. So
that even on the individual level, like even us right here, I will never truly know Chris's intent or your intent. That's just a given of human existence with anyone, even your closest loved one.
Yeah, well, even a lot of people, if you ask someone who does something wrong and you ask them why they did it, a lot of times they don't really know. You know what I mean? So, or at least they'll say they don't know.
I'm a psychopath. My plans.
I don't believe that people don't know why they do the things they do. That they're just these involuntary automatons that just reflexively act and don't know why.
Sure.
I unfortunately have a hard time believing that about a lot of people, but I wish.
Well, let me put it this way. I'm sure you've been in a relationship, Jeff, and then you kind of get tempted by somebody else, right?
Not me. I'm monogamous.
So when
I'm in a relationship, all my focus goes on that part. Like, they eat up all of my focus. I don't even have bandwidth.
Interesting. But
because I'm what is it? Demisexual. Like, I have to have that emotional. I'm attraction alone is not enough for me. I have to have an emotional connection. So I don't just like see an attractive person and my attention wanders. An emotional connection with that person has to be there.
I am like that too. I mean, the only way, like whenever Lindsay all the time. Like, we're out somewhere and she's like, oh, she was hot, and I was like, who? And like, I'm not trying to be like the good boyfriend that says that stuff. Like, I literally am like oblivious to most women. I had during my relationship with her too. I had so many there were so many instances that I found out like a long time later that such and such had like this huge crush on me and like was like hitting on me, and everyone knew it except for me. And I was like, I didn't know. They were like, why'd you lead her on like that, man? Like, you could have just like told her like, straight up, like, we're. I was like, I didn't know there was anything to. I didn't know there was anything to worry
when
about.
I lock in. Like, I'm on that person, and that's it. But so maybe I might not be the best.
Right. Well, bring up that comment by Machine real quick, because I need to read that again. I can't quite understand. I mean,
last
I
one?
think I agree with it, but I think that that's a very deep thing that he's saying there. So methodologically, well, yeah, and I think and I think that's where you get lost, Jeff, with a lot of this because you say, well, like social engineering, for example, you say, well, it could just be happenstance that we're in some of these situations, and I
We
think
did
that
an episode on social engineering where we looked it up and the military definition and all that, and there's an intent behind it. Like social engineering is somebody intentionally setting out to create a process or a method that produces a certain effect that they're trying to produce. So my definition was much narrower than, like, some people say watching a TV show is social engineering. So the definition we came up with that day was much narrower and specific than I think people do. And I noticed that with words in general. This is not only is this the age of narrative, this is the age of category expansion. Every category that used to be very precise and have a bounded set for membership has expanded to include everything: gender, man, woman, systemic racism, violence, harm, genocide, social engineering. Like the categories of words are just expanding to include almost anything people want to throw into them, and it makes precise communication difficult. There's an echo. I can't hear anything.
I can't hear one.
And Jack went mute.
Yeah, I can't hear it. I didn't hear it echo either. But sorry, I was typing. Machine, if you can jump on about that part, I think that I would need some help on that section. Yeah, well, yeah, and I think that that's kind of where Machine Lies is trying to get at the root of a lot of this, because it does go back pretty far. But I think just taking it from Kant and Hegel,
Well,
my
when you
limited
say,
understanding.
hang on, when you say the root of all of this, what is the this?
Oh, I see. You're going to expand the they to this.
No, what are we talking about? The root of all of what?
Well, let's just say accelerationism. I think that
the sense that the political process no longer works, and we have to
blow it up,
blow it up, or accelerate it, like it intensify it to the point that it implodes.
I mean, like the election of Trump for many people wasn't an attempt at accelerationism. That was the actual intent.
It didn't go anywhere. Like we
it didn't. No, it didn't. It didn't work at all. But I mean, there were a lot of people that voted for Trump because
even COVID could have been an attempt to accelerate something that didn't happen. I actually had higher hopes for lockdown. I thought it would produce it would give us a chance to.
I'll be back in a second.
To lock down and take a break and introvert and then come out, and it was a chance to create a new world that was different from the world we just left behind. And that didn't happen. We just went right back to our same old life, and that surprised me.
My life exploded from the inside during that time, so that's what kept it from happening for me. But yeah, and it wasn't even about COVID. I mean, it had COVID was related to it, but yeah, my life just completely went to hell during those time periods. But yeah, I mean, I thought the same thing. I thought that there was going to be like a chance for. I was almost kind of like looking forward to it in a way, because I was trying to this is a time when I can, and that's what I was doing. I built the studio out and everything, and I was getting ready to start making content and all this stuff like that, and then everything went to hell, so I never did that. But
that's why it makes me think that normal baseline reality, or the trajectory that we've been on, is more resilient than we realize, because all of these events that you think would accelerate it or shake it up or change, it just goes right back to what it was before.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there seems to be I don't know, what do you
we recovered from Trump, we recovered from COVID, 9/11, we went right back to our normal lives. So every time there's some kind of crisis or catastrophe that you think would accelerate something, it almost never does.
I mean, COVID came closer to accelerating things than I think Trump did or anything. But there were people that literally voted for him as a chaos vote. That was the point. They voted for him because they assumed that he would be so chaotic and so and the left acted
he was that. I would say if they wanted chaos, they voted for the right person.
They thought he would destroy politics from the inside out. That was a lot of people's I heard people talking about it like that.
And I mean, however you want to look at it, voting for Trump is at least participating in the process. Like it's working within the system.
Yeah, it totally is. And I've also said before that, like, that just the fact that he got that he did get elected, and he did he and he got elected legally and everything like that is proof that the system does still work. So
Oh, and I did see where the Supreme Court is going to take up the ballot issue. I don't know. I think next month maybe. So we are going to get
when they get around to it. It's not like that's the thing with the Supreme Court. Every time like they set like these dates for this. I mean, maybe it's so they can research properly or something like that. But it always seems funny to me like, yeah, we're going to take a look at this in about 6 months or so. It's like why don't you just decide on it now? It's not that difficult.
Well, I think they're doing it next month.
It seems like they could probably do it like today, but they don't really want to. So.
Well, I don't assume it's because they don't want to. There probably are procedural reasons and like you said, a time frame that they need to give a fair ruling. I'm just not. I'm pretty cynical in general about people, but I'm just not cynical about our institutions, and I don't know why, or I don't know why people are.
I'm not cynical about the institutions at all. I'm cynical about the people in the
Do
institutions.
you think that the Supremes just don't want to? Like, we don't want to do that right now.
I don't know what the reason why is. Like, I would like someone to explain it though. I would like there to be some sort of like, somebody come out and be like, well, yeah, the reason it's going to take a month is because they have to do this or that. But it's never like that. They're just like they keep it all like kind of like they don't.
February 8th, Thursday, February 8th. They have agreed to hear it.
They've. Yeah,
I guess some journalists could ask why February 8th, why not earlier? And I'm sure they give a reason. But February 8th doesn't seem that unreasonable to me.
It's not that far away. That's true. I just there's a lot of like I'm not trying to use these shadowy. There's a lot of things. Well, there are things that happen in the shadows in terms of like what we understand about the political process that are never explained to us. That we don't have any way of really understanding because like no one ever really like goes out of their way to actually be like, oh yeah, it happens like this. You have to
I bet the answers to those questions are. I bet someone somewhere has asked.
Oh yeah,
somebody somewhere has explained. So part of it is just failure to do research. But the other part is like, what are you talking about? Like when legislatures are meeting to debate a bill and like that kind of
just I mean, there's tons of a lot of things.
Because C-SPAN used to put all that on TV where you could hear all of the congressional hearings in person.
Yeah,
I mean live, not in person.
I mean, but of course, but that's not where the real action happens. Real action happens outside of the actual congressional room, like because like this isn't even like that's not a conspiracy. Like I've heard,
but they're still ultimately accountable to the voters. So whatever little like conversations over lunch they're having with each other, the decision to vote whichever way or the other, and they don't really have to explain it. They're still accountable to the voters. If enough voters don't like their voting record, they're going to replace them with somebody who's going to vote the way they want them to in their interest.
Hopefully, yeah.
I think it's more of a problem that a lot of the Congress people don't even read the bills in the first place because they're so large. And they just either get summaries from their aides or they just vote without reading them. Then all the little conversations that's just politics. That's like on Survivor when they go off and talk in the bushes and figure out who to vote for before trying to counsel.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
I think that's just a normal part of the political process. I don't feel like it's a conspiracy or it doesn't make me not trust.
I didn't say it was a conspiracy. I said it's just the way it works. It's just like the political process doesn't work in front of the cameras. And most of the stuff that's really happening is happening behind the scenes. It doesn't mean it's actually a conspiracy. It's just like, I mean, even Al Franken, who is a liberal and everything, and I didn't agree with all of his policies. I really liked him as a politician, though. But whenever he was in politics, I think that the way he got ousted was bullshit too, because he was always really blunt and very honest about how politics worked from the inside. He would go on like and do that's probably the reason why he got like smeared like he did, because he was really open about the fact that he
got smeared because he made himself vulnerable and open to being a target, and any politician that did that, someone's going to take advantage of. I don't know if there was this conspiracy to target Al Franken in particular for a reason.
I'm not saying
he
Al
just
Franken
put himself in a
well,
vulnerable position, and enough people took advantage of that.
No, I agree. I agree, John. I know the USA is a republic and not a democracy, and I always get irritated when people say like our democracy. It's a democratic republic, yes, but it is
It's
a
a
republic.
constitutional federal republic.
Yeah, a constitutional federal republic. I mean, it does it has democracy is built into the model, but it is not a democracy, which, as we all know, is basically just mob rule. And like we should never really want a true democracy, because a true democracy would be much easier to manipulate and much easier to much less fair ultimately to the smaller people, because like basically if we had a true democracy, got rid of the electoral system and stuff like that, California would just be the only state that mattered. The entire election would be decided by California and maybe to a lesser extent Texas,
New York, maybe
New York,
Texas.
yeah. New York, California, and Texas would be the only three states that matter. Every other state in the union have nothing. Like their entire voter base would be completely useless and completely ineffectual. They would have no say in who becomes president, and that's why that's what people don't understand about the electoral process. I didn't understand it for a long time either. I used to think the electoral process was stupid too, because like I didn't get the rationale behind it. I didn't understand like why we had this whole system where like all the states get like these certain number of votes, and then like I didn't get that until it I don't know where it got explained to me finally, but when I finally did get explained to me, I was suddenly a very big proponent of the electoral system. I do see it as it's important that the people in Rhode Island, being such a tiny state, actually have a say in who becomes president, or who becomes, or in whatever election it is, in whatever laws are voted on, things like that. It's important that those people have a voice, and they will not have a voice if we had a direct democracy where it's just popular vote. And but people don't want to. They're just like, and not to mention the fact that like they say there's almost no examples of it, but I don't. I have a hard time
If you don't
believing.
trust your government, or you don't like your government, either change it or go somewhere else. Like that, I run out of patience with people that are so cynical about the society they live in when they have the opportunity to be a part of it. Like no one in history has had the opportunity that you have right now, and all you're going to do is complain and find things wrong with it and things to bitch about. Not you personally, but the people that do that.
I mean, I do like my country. I'm wearing my Clover because my daughter's name is Clover, but my Clover USA hat right now. I'm being as patriotic as anybody can usually be on one of these things.
Is it for sale?
No, this is
this could be our product placement.
No, this is
our ad that we sneak in.
Is my,
Chris has a Poshmark. Buy clothes from
it. I do. I'll put it in the chat. But I mean, this is I have this hat as a reminder. Just it reminds me of my daughter, and like because
Joe,
she's not here at the moment. So
good day to you too.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see like every day since the new year we've had such a great active chat. It's been amazing.
That's
we love
what
all
I
you
wanted.
guys.
When I started this, it was exactly my goal, was to have a comment, like people hanging out in the comments that I could interact with.
Or coming on. I mean, we still would love every single one of you to come online. Every single person in the comment right now could come on to this show, and we could have a big panel. But her real name would be Sea Lover.
A chat filled with a chat's filled with agents and feds, just like we intended.
Well, welcome, agents and feds.
Like who's it? I mean, Joe Cool's no agent or fed. Gary's not an agent or fed. John is definitely not. TML isn't.
How would you know that if they're really good at what they do?
If
you
they're
wouldn't
really
even
good
know.
feds, if they're really, I guess that's where like we.
I'm honored that the feds are wasting their time hanging out on my stream.
I just don't. I mean, except for
That makes
Creature
me look
Tommy,
way
I
more
don't
important than I
see
actually am.
anyone. I don't know who Jonathan Montario is. He's got a wrench next to his name, though. That's weird.
Wait, what?
Maybe
On
it's
my
just part
channel?
of. Maybe it's just part of his. Part of
It's
his.
part of his name. It's part
Yeah,
of
it's
his
part of
name.
his name. It's probably got a
So,
fake wrench
because I
there.
don't. You're the only mod that I don't really have
Yeah.
mods.
It's a troll's troll. I know. Jeff didn't even make me a mod. I'm so
Because
sad.
I don't.
No,
I
no,
don't.
I'm
I
just
don't
kidding.
see. I don't have a need for moderation. So far.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I have.
you
I made a
will.
Chris a mod so he could put links in the chat.
Yeah,
mainly.
that's the only reason It's the only thing I've ever done. I've never once done anything. I've never done a single mod action on any on anything. I've
I
had
love
mod
North
power.
Carolina. It's one of my favorite states.
I say we gotta go. And Chuck in Tennessee. I know Chuck ain't no fad. Reddington. I don't know. Reddington. I don't know, man. You know, I don't think you are, but I mean,
You
I
don't
don't
know
know
that
you.
any people are not feds.
I do. I know.
No, you
Because
don't.
I'm the Fed.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
I'm the Fed, so I know my own. You know, I
That-
clearly
that-
I've got the glasses, I've got the USA hat on. I'm clearly a Fed. I mean, that's what people have been saying. They're saying the open shirt thing even means I'm a Fed. So you know, I mean, I'm just embracing it now. Yeah, I'm a Fed. I'm a Fed.
I thought it meant you were just gay. I just thought it meant you were gay.
But I'm a volunteer. That's the problem. Is that I'm a volunteer Fed, and they don't pay the volunteers, so I'm like an unpaid intern Fed, and it's very, very frustrating. I thought I'd be able to work my way up and actually, you know, earn a paycheck like this, but it's been years now, and like they still keep telling me like my paycheck's in the mail, but I never get it. They're like,
Chris,
oh, just check in, you know.
Chris, I thought it just meant you were gay. But you know, it could be something like a Scanner Darkly. It could be something like a Scanner Darkly, though, right? Like it's like we're all like paranoid, and we're all. Even Jeff is going to be paranoid by the end of our operation here, for sure.
I'm not paranoid. I've been paranoid on like drugs, psychedelics. Sometimes I get.
I'm not
paranoid.
scared.
I'm not
Have
a
you ever-
naturally paranoid person.
Have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard that song "Paranoid Android" by Radiohead?
Of course, yeah. I used to cover it. Yeah.
Speaking of, how was that movie
When
last night?
I am king, you will be first
Don't get me
against
copyrighted.
the wall.
Chris, how was the rest of that movie?
It had actually the middle of it, right after you
It's
left.
it's the what's it called? Leave This World Behind. It's the
Yeah.
one that Obama and Mr. Obama's produced.
Yeah, the middle of it started getting kind of interesting. Actually, right after you left, there was actually a middle section where like some stuff started happening that was actually kind of like almost a little like Twin Peaks-ish and kind of interesting. And then that stuff stopped, and then it turned into like conversations between like boring characters for like a long time, and then it gets to like it kind of starts building towards something that seems actually like it seems like it's going somewhere interesting, and then it ends out of nowhere on one of the dumbest. Sam Esmail. I thought maybe Mr. Robot got co-opted or corrupted somehow, and like his plan for it got changed. But now I'm starting to think that maybe he's just really terrible at writing endings, because like the ending of that movie is just. I mean, it's kind of it's funny. It's as a joke, as a troll ending. It's kind of funny, but beyond that, it's like it doesn't really close the story. It doesn't actually give you any sense of closure for anything. It only gives a closure on one single stupid little like subplot thing. The ending feels like an absolute joke, and it's not. Yeah,
Well, I'm
you
glad
didn't
I
miss
didn't
anything.
finish watching.
Yeah, I mean the middle of it though, that middle section gets really interesting for a minute. There's a lot of there's some cool scenes that happen in there, kind of similar to like you saw the tanker scene, right?
The what?
The tanker scene at the beginning, right? You were there for that
With
long?
the boat? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
dumb. That was so dumb.
I thought that was interesting though. It's like it's like a creepy kind
It
of.
was
interesting
dumb and
idea.
it was contrived. I could see the scene where it was going before it even happened. I could see the
I'll
whole
give you that,
setup.
but still, I mean, conceptually, I like the conception of it because you don't know what that means. Like, it's like, what the hell does that even mean that happened? Although they never go back and investigate it, they never go into it any further, which I think is that part's really dumb. But
Are you
there's
guys
a couple
talking
of other
about?
things that happen.
What are you guys
on that.
talking about? What are you guys talking about?
It's called
Leave the World Behind.
It's on. It's that I posted the trailer and machine. It's
a movie
it's like
by the Obamas. A movie by the Obamas.
they produced it. The guy who did Mr. Robot. It's based on a book, but it's about like technology starts to break down and the world begins to collapse. So it looked like something that Machines crowd.
So you don't find it a little odd that a former community activist in Chicago, turn lawyer, turn president, turn filmmaker, you don't see a little like connection to everything we're talking about there?
He's an
What
executive
connection
producer.
should I see? They're the producers. What
They're
connection?
the
am I supposed to
executive producers. Executive producers don't even.
Well,
all they do is sign
whatever. just the fact of adding their name to the project.
I don't connect random dots like you do and make meaning that's not there. It doesn't matter. I can judge the movie on the quality of the content of the movie.
So what do you think of Obama's general ethos and platform and stuff like that? What do you think of his general?
Well, I hate him naturally.
I voted for him twice. What in particular?
I know, but what? Well, I'm asking, what is your general impression of his general ethos and everything?
I don't have one.
I don't think he has much of an ethos.
Forever.
I think him like most politicians are capitalists that just capitalize on whatever it is they think.
No. You voted for him twice, but you don't have any thoughts on his general.
No, not. It's been 8 years. Not now. I don't. I didn't even really then. He kind of just ran in the background. One thing that he did that did irritate me, he tried to outlaw clove cigarettes and flavored cigarettes, and I got irritated.
Okay, come on. Give me a real answer. Give me a real answer. Now you're obfuscating.
No, I'm serious. Like that's the first.
You have no thought.
Record scratch.
You have no thought on any of his platform, any of his.
What platform though? All he ever talked about was hope and change and all that bullshit like that. He never really took a chance with anything except for drone warfare.
Dude, come on. The dude gave tons of speeches. He was very thorough.
I did not watch Obama's speeches. I don't normally watch politicians.
He was very thorough in his explication of what he believes in and what he's doing.
Okay,
I guess probably the most thorough.
Well, then if you give me something specific from one of the speeches, I can give you my opinion on it. But I don't know what was in his speeches.
Well, look, out of the 8 years he was president, do you agree with anything that he was saying was his goal?
No, I mean, I think
you're being very vague. Do you have anything specific that you want to know if I disagree with or not?
I find it difficult. I find it difficult to believe you have no thoughts on anything Obama ever said or did in 8 years.
I really don't.
I
don't pay attention. I don't. He's like a celebrity I don't follow. I don't have an opinion on.
So you have zero interest in politics whatsoever?
Yes, Jack, that's correct.
Not in Obama anymore.
Come on,
he's not really relevant these days.
The whole undertone of everything we talk about here.
You framed the situation very disingenuously and set me up in a position that I'm not even.
I'm asking for one subject matter that
I'm asking you for. I gave the example of the clove cigarettes.
I want you to
specifics. You want my opinion on? Just give them to me.
You're telling me that the most controversial thing. Are you telling me the most controversial thing that you care about that he talked about?
He was one of the.
Let's talk about.
He didn't when he went to office. He changed into that in the second term, but he was not for gay marriage when he got elected.
Right, but he was one of most Democrats were not. If you listen to what I just said, I said he was one of the first people to evolve on gay marriage.
Sure. Evolve. Okay. Now, that's a good one. Okay, I'm just trying to find some common,
It would really help if you give specifics, because that would.
What did you think about like him killing U.S. citizens overseas with?
Well, let's not even. That's not even. Let's keep it on something. Let's keep it on the gay marriage thing. Let's just start there. Let's not jump around into different things. Let's just start.
Okay.
Start something simple and not so.
Okay.
Wishy-washy, right?
My opinion on his position on gay marriage is I agree with it.
But you realize he got elected by saying, "I will never support gay marriage." Essentially,
I didn't vote for. I didn't vote for him for that. Hey, Jeff, what?
Look, I'm not taking this personal. I'm just trying to get somewhere where we can start from a starting point. Because you don't see that it's kind of odd that he's a community activist. He becomes a lawyer. He becomes a senator for a state. He becomes a president. And now he's like a social justice warrior activist.
What's
filmmaker guy?
What would be odd?
Well, it's a conflict of interest to say the least.
Where?
You're a former sitting president, and you're now.
If you're a community activist and you turn into a woke activist, how is that a conflict of interest? That seems like a natural trajectory.
You being a former sitting president and then producing films to influence people's opinions on politics, You don't
I
see
don't know
that as
why
a
he
little
Well,
bit
I
odd.
can
don't
tell
know
you one
why
thing
he
for sure.
produced the film.
That movie has almost nothing political in it, and
Oh, that's bullshit. That's total bull. I
Have
don't
you
even need to
seen
see
the
the film
movie?
either. That's bullshit.
I
Did you see
saw
it?
about 30 minutes of it. I didn't see anything
I watched
political
the
in it.
whole
It
thing.
was
It's
so
not
boring.
political.
Like the
Okay,
characters were
okay,
so dull. It was
stupid.
so
okay.
badly done. Julia Roberts, her acting was horrible.
It's not about the It's not about the quality. It's about the content. What is the basic premise of the film? What's the basic premise of the film?
It's your basic apocalypse story. There's so many of them. Like it's too many of them to count. Like what I'm trying to. It's very similar to another movie. It's very similar. It's very similar to Signs. Okay, it's very similar to Signs, where you have like a family that's kind of in an isolated outside of the city, and there's like an outside of the city, and in the cities there's like these apocalyptic things happening, and like like they lose, but like first they lose all internet and like satellite communication technology. That all goes away, and then there's like these loud, like piercing noises that start going through the air that start that really cause people pain, and then and then like and then it's supposed the whole idea like that like but you never really see you never go into the city. You see one shot of something of like the city from like across like this big ocean of water, and you see something blowing up, and there's never really any, and some planes fall out of the sky, this and that, but it's mostly about like the tensions between this white family and these two, and like they were renting like an Airbnb type thing for this house for this month, and then like the original owners who are black, they show up, and like there's some very very slight racism type undertones to it, but it never really goes into it very
Come
much.
on, that's totally political in nature. Everything about that is totally political in nature.
I didn't get
But okay.
anything political. It was barely woke. I didn't even see
So
the racism.
a black owner of an Airbnb, a white family staying at that Airbnb, technology failing, and people's
Did you
reaction
see
to
the
it.
But they all
movie?
become friends though.
Of course they do.
I didn't even
But-
see racism. Julia Roberts was this neurotic white lady, middle class, an affluent white female liberal, and the black family showed up in the middle of the night, and she was all freaking out, not because they were black, but because she didn't want another family staying in her house. Like I didn't get any racial undertones about it at all. I got it that it was just her being neurotic about losing control of her environment.
In fact, the only blatantly racist character is the black daughter. She's the only one that
Jonathan, probably because I'm not paying attention to you. Which comments do you want me to highlight? Your racist phobic comments. Oh, Michelle Obama is a man.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that
the
the
Michelle Obama being a man thing is so stupid to me. I'm sorry. Like I mean, like
Black
I
Obama.
don't like the Obamas, but like trying to like say it's like she's a man or something like that. Dear God, come on, this is dumb.
But we were talking about the movie, and the minute I mentioned Obama, Jack latched onto it and started taking it to.
I saw
don't know
very
where he
little
was-
Obama
where he was
influence
trying
in
to
it.
go with
It's
but
it's
there
a
wasn't very much
lazy
concrete
apocalypse
in it.
movie. Did you see that one with like the cabin, the one that came out like Shyamalan did last year with like where like there was a gay family out in this cabin in the woods, and like these four people show up, and they say that like God told them that one of them has to sacrifice the family has to sacrifice one of the members of the family in order to avert the apocalypse. Did you guys see that one?
Sorry, I had to get off for a second. Oh, say that again.
It's also very similar. Like it's very similar in some ways, but there was a far more political version of this movie basically that came out last year, but M. Night Shyamalan made that had Dave Bautista in it, and it was about this gay family that has like a little Asian adopted girl, and they and these four white people, I think one of them's black too. Like these three white people, there's one black people. They all come out of the woods somewhere, and they show up at these people's house, and they tell them that God told them that in order to avert the world ending, one of the members of this family, of these two gay guys and this girl, has to be sacrificed in order for the world to not end. And then all this like bad stuff starts happening, and then it goes from there. But it's much more similar to that. But that one was way more political and way more like had a lot more type stuff in it. And like I mean, this one
the
was
best
kinda dumb.
propaganda. The best propaganda is not overtly political. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's going to be.
Yes, but I mean, if
Is it like so subtle that only Jack
I
can
just don't
see
think
it?
that I just don't think that it would have influenced anybody this movie would not influence anyone in any way towards.
Well, I mean, that's a very bold statement to make, but okay.
You haven't seen the movie, dude. I'm telling you, if you watch the movie,
I don't need to see the movie. I don't need to see the movie. I don't need to see the movie.
What?
I don't need to.
He doesn't need to see the movie. He already has his narrative convinced.
Look, people are not. Obama is not. Obama is not going to sign his name to
Obama's
something that doesn't.
fingerprints are on it. That's all he needs to know. He was a
No,
community
it's come on. It's
he became a lawyer, and now he's a
10-picture
woke
deal with
activist,
Netflix.
and that's all
He
he
has
needs to
to
know.
produce
Isn't it
something.
obvious to you, Chris?
Look, dude, are you telling me that you think that Obama would not have a political motivation to signing his name to something?
I don't know why he produced the movie. I have no. I didn't even know he was the producer.
Sure, you could just say that
on
he's.
the credits. Even
You
going
sure-
into it, I didn't even know he was the producer.
Sure, but what I'm saying, okay, well, that's beside the point of what I'm making. What I'm saying is, you could make the argument that he's doing it to
I
make
don't
money.
know why he produced it, and neither do you. You're speculating.
Right. So it goes back to intent, right? So we have to speculate or infer intent based on what we know, what's available, right?
Well, my understanding is that but the Obamas are basically executive producers for Netflix in general now. I think their names are on more than just this.
Yeah, and that's not, and that's and that doesn't support my position whatsoever, right?
Well, I'm just saying, but everything that comes out Netflix, then in that sense, is going to be like, it needs to be like
Higher
Barbie
Ground
Obama's like.
Productions. He has a production company called Higher Ground Productions. Let's see what
He also has a
Fatherhood,
group.
Worth, Rustin, and Leave the World Behind. He did 4 movies.
He also has a little society called My Brother's or Brother's Keeper or
Do you
something
think
like
it's a
that
conspiracy?
too.
You think it's like some sinister cabal trying to influence, do something to the world, socially engineer the world?
I'm just talking about what is. You know,
Oh,
it
what-
is.
You're talking about what you think it is. All
Well,
it
I'm
is
just saying he.
production company. That's the only thing we know factually.
He is an activist. He is a lawyer. He is a former sitting president.
Okay, and you're connecting that to this production company and inferring some kind of motive behind that I'm not. The facts alone don't necessarily lead to that conclusion.
And let me be clear, I dislike Obama intensely. I don't like him at all.
It doesn't even matter if you like him or not. It doesn't even matter if you like him or you don't. If you like him or you don't like him, it's just a matter of like. It's bizarre. I mean, it's undeniable that there's not some motivation for people to get involved in such things.
It's completely deniable. I can deny it easily.
Okay, so you could say that. So you would deny that he at least has a financial motivation to do such things.
No, I think he has a financial motivation. Absolutely. I'm saying if he did have a political motivation, if there was a political motivation that Obama
And look, it's not even about him.
He's bad at it.
It's not even about him at the end of the day. Like, as a political entity, the Democratic Party, the people that he works with, the people he's associated with, they have zero motivation to be involved in such, productions and stuff like this.
Well, show me their involvement then.
Well, I mean,
you're assuming an involvement that I need
That definitely
evidence for before I'm convinced.
That definitely happens. I'm saying in this particular movie, and Obama. It may be one of those things where like he's trying to build credibility as as a non-political type producer. Therefore, he can create super insidiously woke stuff later. I don't know, but I mean, like this movie itself, if his intention was to spread some sort of subversive political message, he did a very, very bad job because it's just not there. It's just like
It was based on a book, and it was a novel that he included on his 2021 summer reading list. So he puts out this reading list, I guess, and this is one of the books on it. And they decided to make it to me. So you could even say,
okay,
his
great.
on the
Okay,
reading
based
list
on
was political.
okay, great. Let's do this. Let's look up that book, see who wrote it, and what that person who wrote it, or what that book's about. Let's see if there's any political implications to that.
The book's called Leave the World Behind too. I think. I mean, you can't. I guess if there's anything political about it.
Let's follow the trail. Let's follow the trail. Let's follow the trail. Let's follow the trail.
What do you need to know about the book? I'm on the page right now. All it really gives is the plot. Let me look up this guy. His parents immigrated from Bangladesh in the early 70s. He grew up in a suburb of DC. He started writing at Oberlin College. Apparently, they say he and his partner adopted 2 boys, so I'm assuming gay. But it doesn't specifically say that. It could be a female partner. That's really all it says about him. He hosts 2 podcasts for Slate Magazine.
Well, he's definitely
wrote
woke
3
as hell.
books.
If he works for Slate, he's woke as hell. That's for sure.
He won a National Book Award. He has a website. There's not a lot of details about him on Wikipedia, really.
I mean, I will say like S-Mel's Mr. Robot was very non-woke for its first 3 seasons, and then it turned into the wokest, dumbest thing in the 4th season. Absolutely.
He did.
So like, I mean,
he did.
What's that? What's that? He did what?
He interjected this current conversation. The minute he heard Obama's name. Yes, breadcrumbs, exactly.
Look, I'm not even upset by Obama or anything. It's not about Obama in and of himself. I'm just talking about a phenomenon that is undeniable, right?
It's perfectly deniable without evidence. You're making inferences that are not warranted by the facts, and then you don't understand why we don't connect the same dots in our mind, because I don't have a reason to.
Well, there is dots that are connected. It just depends on how you connect them and what you see between them. They are connected. There is a book. It was produced by the Obamas.
Right. And you're
Obama
seeing
is what he
some kind
is,
of
and these people are what they are.
behind that I have no reason to see.
I mean, you have you ever heard the joke about what an executive producer credit even is, or an associate producer credit? There's a joke, an old Hollywood joke. It's what you give your secretary instead of a raise. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything besides like that you were at the top.
Well,
he
had to sign off that he would be attached to whatever this is, right? Like,
I'm just saying, but an executive producer rarely has any creative influence over anything.
You're assuming it's obvious that why Obama produced this movie, and that's never obvious.
Okay, well,
like, it's undeniable
the fact is that he's an ex-sitting U.S. president, and that he would not sign his name to something if he didn't have some motivation A to do so, or B, he would at least agree with whatever the
motivation to do so. You're
okay. So there is a motivation.
What motivation is?
Okay, well, there is a motivation, correct?
He has a production company. Like he had a motivation for having a production company, probably to make money. He might have liked the book and said this would make a cool movie.
At least I think doing the movies, being a movie producer is more honest than doing those stupid fucking speeches that the Clintons did for billions of dollars. At least I'll give him that. At least he actually produces something, even if it's shit. At least I'll give him that much
we're
credit.
even having this conversation.
Yeah. Okay. And like, let me say, after that movie was over, I watched a second movie that I also heard was woke as hell, and I didn't see the wokeness in it, except for the fact that I guess if you think of the people that did
what was the movie?
It's called Dumb Money. It's about the whole thing that happened with the GameStop stock back in January of 2021.
Right.
And it's about that whole story. It's done in a very similar style to the movie Big Short. It's like done like it's like they try to copy the style of that movie entirely. It's very similar to that, and I heard the same things about the Leave the World Behind and this. They were like, from Rightoid Media was constantly saying that these movies were super woke and they're like waste of time and everything. I don't know. I just didn't see it. I mean, and I see that stuff in lots of things. I see tons of woke shit. Like I just said, like S-Mel's like 4th season of Mr. Robot turned into some overly woke, stupid bullshit. And I would, and like that before that 4th season, it was like my favorite TV show of all time. That was like my favorite TV show that I'd ever watched. I was in love with that show. I loved everything about it.
Well, look, in the way that you guys think that I'm assuming the motivation is X, I'm saying, look, I'm not saying that just because something is woke that doesn't mean that I think that the woke is like a direct one-to-one, like, well, he's woke, therefore he wants people to be gay and trans and all. Like, that's not what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm not saying he's making this to promote a racial agenda per se, or I'm not ascribing that level of intent. What I'm saying is there is a level of intent of influence, right? Like, at least he wants to influence people in some particular direction.
How do you know?
Let me finish my sentence. Even if it's just to get people to buy a movie, right? There is at least some influence that he wants to project out into the world, at least to buy his product, at the very bare minimum, right?
Okay,
But if
well,
he's an
what?
activist and he's a lawyer and he has this like vision of the world, and he's a sitting former U.S. president, he wants to sell a vision of what he wants to see projected into the world. I would assume. I mean, you could make the assumption, oh, he would not ever try to like promote his vision of the world by his artistic endeavors. But what
No, I
artist do
think
you
I,
ever?
I totally
Wait, 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 let me finish. What artist in the world doesn't want to project some vision of his what he wants to see happen into the world? I mean, that's a very giant leap of
Obama
logic
wasn't
that I
the
don't
artist
understand.
in this case. Obama wasn't
Okay,
the artist.
but he owns a production company that is full of artists who produce artistic content, right?
Yeah,
I
four
mean,
movies.
okay, well, don't you think you're making a huge giant leap in logic to say, oh, there can't be any
I
possible
never said
artistic
that.
endeavor?
I never said that, and you're
It's
making
it's
just as big of
inferred.
one by insisting
It's
that you know
inferred
what
by
that
what you're saying,
motivation
though.
is.
It's inferred by what you're saying.
I said over and over, I don't know why he made the movie. I don't know what is how do you determine what his intent is? How do you, Jack, as a person, know what if you wanted to go about scientifically determining this issue and settling it once and for all? How would you begin to determine what his intent was, other than inference and assumption?
You take a look at the data. Number one, you take a look at the stuff that you do know, and you contextualize it, right?
Yeah,
That's what I'm
inference.
doing.
That's
Okay, right. Okay, well, if that's the best that we got, you at least do that to form some clue as to what's going
What
on,
you end
right?
up with is an opinion, and you've given us your opinion. I don't share that opinion.
So opinions are irrelevant when you have the evidence to back up your opinion, right?
It's still an opinion. It doesn't make the all the evidence is facts and your interpretation of them. That's still an opinion. You just agreed to that. You said that's all
Us
we
going
have.
to the moon is just your interpretation of the facts and the stuff that you have, right?
We'll say that again.
Us going to the moon is just your opinion of the facts that you interpreted, right?
What? I still didn't hear. What about the moon?
Us going to the moon is just your opinion of based on the facts that you interpret, right?
Sure. Yeah.
No, I don't have an opinion about. I accept.
Is it objective? Is it objective that we went to the moon?
Yes.
Why?
There's evidence. I don't have
direct,
the evidence.
Do you have direct evidence? Do you
somewhere.
have direct evidence in your hands that you can display to the world?
No, nobody has.
I don't have direct evidence that yes or no.
Can you personally cross-reference the evidence in and of and by yourself?
No.
Then what's the difference between what's the difference between you asserting that we went to the moon and me asserting that we can infer based on the evidence of someone's intent? What's the big difference?
Because the evidence we went to the moon exists. I don't have it personally here in my bedroom, but it does exist. The evidence for Obama's intent only exists inside of his head. And I asked how you would.
And your assertion that we went to the moon is only inside your head. You cannot prove that we actually did it.
No, but other
people cannot prove
can. Other people can, and I can.
If you believe what they say, if you trust, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if they give convincing enough evidence, then I will believe what they say.
But you're still asserting, you're still taking on a leap of faith at the end of the day that what they're saying is true.
You're taking on a leap of faith that the sun is going to come up tomorrow. Like, I don't know for a fact that it is, but I assume that it is. It seems pretty likely. Again, it's the probable versus the possible. It's probable that it is, that it will. It's probable that we would.
So you're saying it's not probable that Obama has some sort of political motivation behind the stuff that he puts his name on.
It's not a. He doesn't need to. No, it doesn't. He may have a political motivation. I don't know, but I can also see him making a movie with no political motivation ever. So it's not a necessary assumption.
Okay, that's fair. So you're saying it's at least 50-50.
I'm saying it's possible. I don't know why he made. I don't know what his motivation. I don't know what the thought process.
But if you were to put a number on it, would you say it's a 50-50 chance?
I have no way of doing that at all. I do not know. It's a complete black box. I know that he found this book somehow. He read it. He put it on his book. I'm assuming he read it. He put it on his book list. they decided would make a good movie somehow. However, the process happens where books get made into movies, and his production company was involved and chosen, and it became a movie. That's all I know. I don't know if at any point in his head he said there's a political opportunity here. I have no way. I do not know, and nothing about the movie shed light on that for me.
And I'm the only one that watched it all the way through too.
That's fair. That's fair. And look, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just saying like you're kind of like you're kind of like saying like we can make certain inferences and certain assumptions about other things, but we can't do it about political things or about technological things. Or it's like you kind of like put certain things in a certain category, and you kind of put other things in a certain category, and you say, well, it's approved to make certain inferences and assumptions on this stuff, but not in these certain categories, right? Like to me, that's why I'm kind of getting lost a little bit on that.
I don't know what you're saying right now. I just walked you through my thought process.
I know. To me, it seems that you kind of like put things in a category, like certain things you can make assumptions and assertions on, and other things you can't.
It's assumption or hypothesis, and then you test the hypothesis with evidence, and then you verify your conclusion. It's the basic scientific method.
But some of the things that you just take as a given fact,
hypotheses I have evidence for that I can use to verify a conclusion, and some of the hypotheses I don't. Like what is?
But a lot of the things that you count as a fact, you can't personally verify. So as being true. So.
No, I don't. There is an element of trust.
You rely. Yes, exactly right. Yes. You rely on the expert opinion of other people.
Not even things like the expert, like things like the sun coming up tomorrow.
Sure.
No expert is telling me that. Just from my own experience, I rely on that as a probable.
That's okay.
And you scared off somewhere in time, Jack.
Oh wow!
I don't know.
This rabbit.
Well, she's more hardcore than me on this kind of stuff, so I'm kind of surprised, but it's okay.
They're saying you become an aggro bro over this. I love this kind of stuff. Like
I know.
Well, I'm driving and I'm distracted by my kid, and I'm trying to have a conversation at the same time. So
Yeah, no, I get
I'm
it.
not really angry. I'm sick at the same time. So I'm like managing 4 different things at once. I'm not really angry. I'm just trying to get a point across. I don't know. I'm just not really feeling 100%. It's I'm not sure what it is.
Oh, I thought I might have had COVID.
Yeah, Jeff was feeling bad last night too. So
yeah, it's a really weird thing. It keeps feeling like it goes away and then it comes back. Yeah, it feels like it goes away and then it comes back. It goes away, comes back, and I think a lot of people are having a similar thing.
I hope you're not getting long COVID symptoms, because long COVID symptoms is the
well, I've already been through that the past couple of years, so I mean, whatever I have now is milder than whatever I had the last couple of years, so I'm all right. You know what I mean? Like it could be so much worse than what it is. So
that's good to hear.
I'll take what I got over what I had for sure.
Good to hear.
Like that's the thing about this whole like that's the thing about like the whole conspiracy stuff. Like a lot of people, I think, in the conspiracy theory circles don't like me because I know that there was something seriously going around. I'm not going to make a claim on what I know, that I know what it is, but there was something that people were getting and experiencing that was severe. I mean, I never really thought I was going to die until around this time maybe once before I got pretty sick, but like, there was something severe going around. I just don't claim to know what that is, but people reacting to that is a real thing. I just don't know the details on what that situation was about, right? Like, I'm skeptical of things, but I also like know for a fact that something was going on, right? So.
All right.
Okay.
That's cool.
Well, I hope you feel better.
No, yeah, it's okay. I'm just saying, like, a lot of the people in the conspiracy circles, they say, well, there wasn't any disease, or there was there was a disease, but it wasn't this and it wasn't that, and you should get this or you shouldn't get that, and like, you know, and I was like that pretty hardcore at the beginning too. But I think the truth is a lot of these things we can't know, right? Like we have to make assumptions uh, based on our personal experience, based on what knowledge we have, and a lot of it we can't really actually confirm ourselves.
We can make educated guesses. I would
Yeah,
prefer to
educated
call it.
guesses. And I think even
Yeah.
during COVID, everyone had to do some of that on an individual level.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like this is why I'm saying like I'm not really angry or anything like that. I'm just trying to like we all have a different baseline of how we evaluate these things, and a lot of the conspiracy people are, correct, but I also see that like they're, in my opinion, they're kind of misled by their own paranoia, and I include myself in
I
that
would
camp as
agree.
well in many respects.
I would agree.
But I think that a lot of other people like, and no offense, Jeff, but I think a lot of people like you have this aversion to thinking that things can be connected or whatever as well. So I'm not saying that means that that you're wrong and I'm
have
right.
like
I'm just saying,
evidentiary standards on before I accept a connection. And like I don't
sure,
I connect two things when it makes sense to connect them, and I have evidence that they're connected. But before that, I suspend any kind of belief or opinion about it. I think I like what Destroyer's saying here, if I understand it, helping people, criticizing them while they're opening
He was
up.
criticizing. He was criticizing Jack about the way Jack was getting aggressive about it. That's all he was saying. Reddington says, "I don't think I'd want to make nor see Nero angry."
well, I
don't
mean,
piss them off then. It doesn't bother me. I piss people off all the time. I've grown up with so many people angry at me for so many stupid invisible things that I don't even know.
yeah, this is not me angry. This is me frustrated. So
Why?
this is me frustrated.
I get it.
And you're driving, you've got a kid, and you're feeling sick, and you're trying to have a conversation. Yeah, those are 4 things to do at the same time that are stressful. All each.
I don't take. I'm from the South. Like fighting is not personal to me.
Yeah,
I can yell and scream and holler at anybody, and not. It does. It's not anything about the friendship at all.
Yeah,
This is what we do in the South. Like my brothers and sisters, even my mom, we yelled and screamed at each other.
Yeah, me and Jeff got into it yesterday, and like, we still went and watched drag race and shit,
Yeah, and I'm from the South too, and I think that's where a lot of people get confused, especially like where I live now. Is like people get confused that you're being like pointed with stuff, and they think that you're being aggressive or something. It's like this is not aggressive.
I'm very passionate about.
Aggression in the South, you're not going to see it coming. Like, let's just be honest. You're not going to see it coming if it's aggression,
And I had a friend from up here that went to the South. She said it's so weird down there. People will fight and yell at each other, and then 2 days later they'll be at a barbecue together, drinking beer and hanging out and acting like best friends. And I'm like, that's
normal.
She thought that was so weird.
I especially like around like those Rainbow Mafia guys and like all the drug culture and stuff around there. Like whenever I was there, it would be like that. People would be like literally like chasing each other with a knife one day. The next day they'd just be hanging out like they were best friends again. It was just like, I mean, like
conflict is never permanent. It's in the moment, and then it resets.
It would be so extreme.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and then the thing is, like, I think a lot of people misconstrue the South. They think, oh, everybody's so nice. It's like they're not really nice. They pick and choose their battles a little bit more carefully.
They're open to emotion, even they're nice ones. Like that, when they're kind and when they're generous, they're extremely kind and generous. When they're angry, they're passionate. They're just it's a more passionate environment.
It's genuine. When they're kind, it's not fake. They really are feeling
absolutely.
kind.
Yeah,
and then when they're angry, they really are feeling angry.
I saw some of the most unbelievable acts of kindness I've seen in my life amongst a bunch of druggies. Like I mean, people would like pawn and sell everything they own to get somebody to bail somebody out, and then 2 days later they would be like at each other's throats, and then they'd be back to friends again. I mean, it was just like I saw like all the extremes of humanity, like up close, and like it was a really interesting thing to observe because I kept myself out of all the drama and stuff like that. I was always like kind of just in the periphery. But
Are you
but
from Texas though, or are you from somewhere else originally?
I'm from Texas. Yeah, I'm from Texas.
Is it
I'm
the
from-
same phenomenon there, or is it a little different? Because I heard Texas is a little different down there.
No, it's same here. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, like I grew up in East Texas. I was born in Marshall, Longview area, and then we lived further down south in near Beaumont for a little while, and then we moved back up to Texarkana, and lived there in Texarkana for most of my formative years, like from I was like 11 to like until I was out of high school, and then I lived in Florida for a year. I lived in California for a while, for like less than a year. And then I lived in Las Vegas for like 7-8 years.
Sounds like a Fed to me.
I told you I'm a Fed. Yeah, I told you I'm volunteer Fed. I don't know where my reports get sent to, but I send reports every night about stuff, and like that, I bet that they never respond. So I don't know. I think maybe
keep sending them because
maybe
we
they
are
don't take me
growing.
seriously. My reports are also not very well written. Like, because I'm from the South, I can't spell very well. My grammar is very bad. I'm just like, it's mostly just like scribblings and drawings of squirrels and stuff. And I don't think they take too kindly to it. But yeah, I do my best. I do my best as a uneducated white man from the South. So
Country bumpkins.
Yeah.
Country bumpkin. We're doing country bumpkin philosophy. That's why we're conspiratards.
Yeah.
No, I think that a lot of people in the South are actually very, very smart. It's just like they come at things from such a different angle.
Oh yeah, they're very smart. People
They are
people
much
just
more
think they're-
socially
people
and
just think
emotionally
they're
intelligent
stupid.
than the North by far.
Yeah,
even
I
though
agree.
that's the North's whole thing is that they're the emotionally intelligent ones, even though they have like they always are bragging about their EQ or whatever, their emotional quotient level, and like they're not Chris's assignment is to keep tabs on Satanists and those he interacts with on stream. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, but my reports, I don't think they're being as useful as I want them to be. They told me not to be, they told me I had to keep it in like a certain code, and I didn't understand the code, so I just kind of like make stuff up and draw symbols. And
Well,
stuff.
that's probably you're still unpaid.
Yeah, probably so. My doodles, I don't think they don't think they get very far, but
The first time I had to get off, I think we got derailed from the accelerationism and stuff. So if there is anything,
we can get back to that.
No, well, if there is anything that you wanted to touch on, I'm happy to get on it because we got way off track. So if there's anything that we left behind, I would be happy to
Just
revisit it.
I want to reinforce if I get a copyright strike, me and you, I swear.
Hey, have any of you guys?
Because that music sounded very copyrightable.
Have either of you guys seen the movie Her? Because I hadn't watched it since it came out.
What
and
new movie? What?
The movie Her.
H-E-R? Her?
H-E-R, Her. Yeah.
No, I don't even know if I've heard
It
of
was
it.
it's a movie that came out. I don't know, like it's probably 10 years old now, but it really predicted all the AI stuff like that we're going through right now, like so accurately. And I watched about half of it last night, and I decided like I was going to stop because I wanted to watch it with maybe with Jeff and maybe with you.
Oh,
Jack,
Spike Jones. I like
Yeah,
him.
Spike Jones. No, it's great. It's got Joaquin Phoenix is the main actor. The acting is amazing. What's her name? The actress that plays the voice is Scarlett Johansson.
Maybe I did see. Let me look at the trailer. Maybe I did. It's sounding familiar.
The look of the movie is so gorgeous too because it has like this weird like cream colored like filter on it that just makes everything look like slightly surreal and stuff. But anyway, I watched about half of it last night because like I it was just like I kind of hit random on my Plex server and it's what came up. And I started watching it, and I was like, "Damn, this movie was so much better than I remember it being." It's like really weird and funny and cool, and yeah, it's definitely something to like. I would like to watch with you guys if you haven't seen it yet, because it is especially for anybody who's into like a technology acceleration and about like the way that tech is heading and the way AI and stuff is. The world it creates in that it seems very, very scarily close to where we're at already, and it predicted stuff in a way that like, and it's one of the most realistic tech films I think I've ever seen. But it's really good.
Let's watch it.
Yeah, but Jeff is going to be like not afraid. Like he's already upset. You're saying like it's scary. See, you're scared of the technology. Don't be scared.
No, I'm not scared of it. It's not scary actually. It has actually.
I don't care.
Really
I do not care how people feel about technology. I can tell you how I feel, and I don't understand people who do. are like doomers who have this fear, but I don't try to stop them from feeling scared. I can't control their emotions.
It's a
They
creepy
can
thing.
feel
'Cause
as scared as they want.
It's basically about a guy that ends up getting into a relationship with the AI on his phone, and that's actually happening in some places. Like there's people that have relationships with like these AI. These AI bot type things, but the AI in the technology in the movie is extremely advanced and actually has consciousness and is actually self-aware. It's like singularity type stuff, and I don't think it's scary, but it's got there's some creepy kind of things just to think about someone actually like falling in love with their AI companion on their phone type thing, and the way the relationship progresses and everything. And like they actually, but it feels like a more realistic relationship that I think I've seen depicted in just about any other movie ever that's about relationships. The relationship it depicts between the main character and his AI is such a grounded, realistic feeling relationship. It's just bizarre, and it's such a good movie. I think I didn't watch the whole thing last night because I wanted to watch it with you guys, but yeah, it's good. I couldn't sleep, so I end up I watched the rest of that one movie. I watched that Dumb Money movie, which is actually pretty good, pretty cool. I mean, it's fine. It's not super like great or anything, but it's a good kind of I mean, slightly fictionalized, I think, or slightly adapted version of real events, like what really happened with the GameStop stock, the short crunch thing. But it's nothing like essential to watch. And I don't know what, once again, people were saying it was super woke. I guess the people think it's woke because there was a cameo from AOC in it, in like for like 2 seconds. So like people thought like, oh, it's really woke or something, but it's really not. It's just about the GameStop thing, and that's all it's really about. I guess because they do talk about how it's like a revolution against like the stock people in the stock market and stuff. But I'm for that. So because I think the stock market is a
You're
corrupt.
for people revolting against the stock market?
Or I'm for people trying to take the stock market back and to make it more where it's a more fair place for people to actually try to make money in, because like right now it's impossible for like I mean, that's literally the term dumb money is from the movie's named on, is like what people that work for major stock trading firms, they call anybody who makes any day traders, any kind of people that do like small stock trades, they call them dumb money, because like they don't believe those people know anything about what they're doing or anything. They're just doing random trades. So they literally view anyone who isn't working for like those big capitalistic stock trading firms. They view anybody that's not working with at that level as being an idiot who doesn't know what they're doing and shouldn't be in it in the first place. And so I mean, and that's true. I heard that way before I saw the movie. I've heard actual stockbrokers say it on like CNBC and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not like anything that was like revolutionary to me. But yeah, it's very similar.
But the
It's
thing
very
is,
similar to The Big Short. But
well, the thing is, there might be some truth to that, but I think at the end of the day, like they like dumb people putting their money in, because if you're
that's
working
the
on
thing.
that level,
They want
then you know.
the dumb money, because like the dumb money is what they make their money off of. They use the dumb money to pump up or to like whenever they short stock. I think the whole idea of shorting stock should be made illegal. I really think that's just blatant gambling. We can if you do stock shorts, why can't we have casinos everywhere? Like why is gambling legal whenever the stock market is just gambling?
That's what like my friends in Vegas used to tell me all the time. If you're gonna gamble, you should play the stock market. Don't waste your time on casinos and casino gambling.
Because it's the exact same thing. There is no difference. I mean, it's not like the initial idea of the stock market, like when it first started, it was about like, you could buy. It was about supporting a business and trying to like, you would help it get off the ground, and in exchange you got some money back on the back end of when that money and so it wasn't really as much. These days you just like, you buy a few stocks of this, and then you just betting on the fact that it's going to become worth more money, and then you can sell it off and make the money. And so it's just, I mean, it is an evolution of that initial idea. But I think initially the idea of the stock market was really good, but what it became is something that's super corrupt. I mean, what, you don't think it's corrupt?
Oh, I was laughing at Destroyer.
Well,
is that a little Tommy there? Yeah.
What did you say? Sorry, I can't read the chat right now. What did it say?
Is that
Tommy in the bottom right of the screen, like where the little devil thing is? He's burning in hell right now.
I put this background because we were going to have that conversation with Satan, the AI.
Yeah,
Satan.
I forgot about that, and that's also my fault too because like I started making AI images and then I didn't and I wasn't like I didn't end up feeling that well last night either. That's part of the reason I couldn't sleep. Every time I started trying to get to
You
sleep,
never sleep though. Like when do you sleep?
I had been started sleeping better. They gave me a medication that had been helping me, but it makes me sleep really really hard to the point where it's almost like kind of like I get a little bit paranoid sleeping at night too because of things that have happened over the last few years. I have neuroses
afraid the cult that might be outside of your window.
No. It's stuff with my family. I've talked about it on stream before. I don't want to go into it right now, but I mean, just like what kept me off stream earlier this year, but around Christmas time. Remember, like I talked about that and what was happening.
No, I know, but no, I thought you. I was just joking because you said that there was like people like cult members hanging outside your window a few years ago.
Oh
Many years
yeah,
ago.
way back in Vegas. Way back. That's not that stuff. That doesn't bother me anymore. I mean, I don't get any worried about
You
that.
would you would welcome those guys coming right at this.
Yeah, today, if that happened, I'd go outside and greet them. I'd open the door and be like, "Hey guys, what's up? Come on in. Let's have a talk."
You'd be like, "Come on in, y'all. Got dinner ready for you."
If I ever became a celebrity and like ever got a celebrity and paparazzi was following me, like my strategy for dealing with paparazzi would be this: I would like if I'd see them, I'd go up to them and be like, "Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, you guys want to come over to dinner for my house? Come on!" And I just I would just like be really creepy and aggressive, like like I really just needed friends or something until like they got really uncomfortable.
Well, a lot of celebrities are like that though. Like they treat their paparazzi pretty good because they realize like they're just people doing a job, and like most of them guys are actually just like they're kind of protecting those guys in a way because they film so much that if somebody were to try to do something, they have it on film. You know what I mean? So like it's almost like a weird symbiotic relationship those guys have.
I don't know if that's going to happen with this crowd anytime soon, Destroyer, including myself.
The meth demons claimed Illuminati.
Yeah.
They probably did.
No, well, I wanted to ask because I missed some of Machine's stream the other night because I was doing a lot of family stuff and not feeling really that good. But how did you guys feel about that whole interaction that happened after I started this kind of war with you guys and you guys kind of got into more of the I've never watched Matthew North, but every time I get into certain subjects, people are like, "Oh, you sound like Matthew North," or "Go watch that; it'll help explain." How did you guys feel about that?
He did sound like a conspirator, but he was young. What was the war? I don't even remember. I barely remember.
Well, it was about like the AI and how it. You said it's science fiction and blah blah blah.
What? Jog my memory. I remember Smith coming on. I remember the lesbian nuns. I remember me and Flo getting into it over eating the bugs.
Yeah, well, before all that, like we were talking about the AI and all that, but I'm just saying a general attitude. You don't think that Matthew North was saying anything that could possibly be true? You think it's all?
I think he was this little geek in his
Some
computer connecting dots like everybody on the computer does these days, without any kind of.
Some of the things he stated were just some of the actual individual statements were verifiable and true. But some of the connections he was making were just seemed like it reminded me of somebody with like the big cork board and the string and like like the or like the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia thing, like
well, let me put it like
Pepe de Silva, man, Pepe de Silva. It's all connected to him.
let me contextualize this. Do you think that it's a problem that they're doing that because that it's not true? Possibly, or do you think that it's just that even if it is true, what can I do with the information? Is it a problem of utility or is it a problem?
That's my problem.
I'll tell you why I think it's a problem.
I have no problem. People can spurg out all they want. I just don't. I have no use for it. Like my focus right now is about building a new thing, and I'm just not that interested in identifying and constantly biovulating over every conspiracy that's out there. Yeah, there's conspiracies that exist. There are. This is verified. This is not something that's known. We have plenty of records in history of known conspiracy type things that have happened. They do exist. They do. We don't know exactly when they're happening until for sure that they happen until much later on.
but it ultimately doesn't do me any good because I don't have. It's not like I can go and like bust in on their secret meeting and take them out or something, you know. So like, what good does it do for me to even like? I mean, it's good to be aware of what's going on. And it's good to be aware to the degree, like, you know, where you can kind of protect yourself or try to protect your family and stuff like that. I mean, I agree with that, but on the whole, like, you know, understanding all the connections and everything like that, it's just like, okay, yeah, that seems like everybody's real connected. Good.
I'm going to tell you what I think
I'm going to
it's
go
a
do my
bad
thing.
thing.
You know, I always feel like I'm just going to go off and do my thing.
Let me jump in here. I want
Yeah.
to say why I think it's a bad thing.
Okay.
It's like people who spell poorly, read poorly, do math poorly. It's poor think. It's people that have not been fully educated in thinking, and it's hard for me to watch. Like when you watch people spell, like grammar Nazis misspell things all the time, or don't know how to read. They stumble over their words, or they do the math. You want to help them. You're like you're doing an activity that in and of itself is valuable, but you're doing it poorly, and there are better ways you could be doing it.
Okay.
And so that's
All
the
right.
reaction that strikes up in me.
Let me contextualize this a little bit. Try to. Let's say you have a famous engineer. Take your pick, okay? And they know how to build a rocket ship, take us to Mars in half a day, for example, right? And then you've come to find out that this guy is a horrible, terrible human being who abuses his children and his wife, and massacred, untold millions of people to get that technology, for example, right? Now, he was very good at doing what he set out to do, but at what cost, right? See what I'm saying? Like, by what metric do you say that these people are uneducated or whatever? It's like they may be uneducated in the sense that they don't know how to string together a logical tree of knowledge to explain what they're getting at. But if they're kind of like heart is in the right place and they're kind of revealing that some of the things that you take for granted, like getting to Mars in half a day, came at a significant cost that you may not really agree with, and that the unintended consequences of that might lead to something much worse than what it took to get to that point, is that make them like bad or uneducated?
I don't
people
think
in the
they're
sense
doing it
you're in?
effectively. I think they're doing it poorly. They're not demonstrating
Sure.
reality. They're
Well,
demonstrating
but someone
their
like you
opinion.
might
They're
actually be
demonstrating
like
how
a
disconnected from reality they are.
sure, but for you to be charitable to some of these people and say, hey, let me try and see if there's anything to this, because I'm concerned that you might have, you, even though you're not putting those pieces together correctly, perhaps some of the data points are relevant, right? See what I'm saying? Like, you might be able to say, hey, I don't take your whole narrative, but some of these data points are indicative of a larger problem that I'm not aware of. See what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you?
Say it again.
Like, let's just use the example that I said. If you were not aware that the guy who built the rocket ship to get to Mars had done all these things to get to where he was going,
okay,
you
here's the
wouldn't
problem.
take that into
Also
consideration.
can't, some random person on the internet can't just assert that he did these things. Like, you have to have something to back up the claim that somebody did these things, and a lot of it is just they think they
Sure.
did.
Well, let's say that let's say that you can't deny that these things happened, but they ascribed intent and culpability to this one person. But let's say that you were to find that it wasn't that person, it was just the network of people that person had to deal with. See, for example, right? Like, and then you say, okay, well, I know that something bad happened and this person was involved, but it may not have been his intent or his culpability that is in question. Maybe it's the network of people that this person was working
Maybe, but
with.
that's the hypothesis. I need something more than that. And it's amazing how all of these people have all of this hidden inside information that nobody else does, from just sitting at their computer and browsing websites. And all of a sudden they have this mystical.
No, you're right. No, and look, you're correct.
And you're correct in that sense. But here's what I would say to that. And this is the angle that I come from that people don't like. The fact that all that information is hanging out there for these people to find and misconstrue, isn't that also like a little bit conspicuous to you? Like, don't you find that a little bit curious that like why would all these breadcrumbs be there for people to find if there's no smoke? It's kind of like you see all these smoke everywhere, and then you get there and there's no fire here. You don't find that also a little strange?
That there's no fire? No, there's often no fire. I don't find it strange that information is out there because we're in the information age. We've democratized information. Before it was all in library. Also, I've done research. I know how to do research. I've done research, and I used to work in a university library, so I know what's involved in doing actual research, and it's not just reading a bunch of websites and stringing random information together. And that's as far as into research as guys like that seem to have gotten.
Well, let me say this.
Refine it into anything.
Okay. Let's take it what you said right there. Let's say that you know the amount of time, energy, attention, and all this that it takes, and money that it takes to actually do an investigation like that. Who do you think with the money or motivation would actually fund the type of investigations that the truthers get into? Do you think that the people who have power or have technology or have these things would ever possibly let people go and do a rigorous investigation into these subject matters? You really honestly believe that?
You don't need that to do better research. Every one of us can improve our research techniques on our own.
Well, then how come there is no rigorous investigations of these subject matters?
That's an excellent question. I would love to know how come there isn't it, because I think these people don't know how to do it.
Right, and you know why? Because there's nobody like you. There's nobody like you, or there's nobody who has that information that's giving it to these people to help them find the answers that they're looking for.
I try to do that, and I get so much resistance, even from people in my own circle, even sometimes for Chris. Like, it's a very frustrating process. So I think there's a psychological motivation above and beyond just wanting to do quality research that keeps them doing it in the particular way they're doing it. I don't think it's about actually truth finding. I think it's about narrative building and making sense of the world, and being really attached to the narratives that make sense to them, and not wanting to necessarily find a narrative that actually corresponds to reality. And I think there's a lot of psychology behind that. Dave, hi, thank you, and yes, we love you too. Thanks.
Sure. Well, and look, I agree with most of what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, like, you know, if it's possible to do such a thing, don't you think that would be a good endeavor for people? Not like, I'm not calling you out specifically.
It's like AA or so. People have to want it. You can't force. You can't.
Well, sure, but I mean,
people who don't want to do it. People that want to do it are already open to how to do it better.
But there are psychological tools that you can use to reach people who may be resistant to certain things. I mean, that's your job, right? I mean, see what I'm saying?
Kind of, sort of. I don't like to do a lot of manipulation and psychological tools. I like to maybe like something like motivational interviewing to tap into their intrinsic motivation and open up the possibilities to, and then they can decide if they want to follow them or not. Well, I don't like to railroad people into doing things that they don't have inclination.
But let me explain it to you. If you see that someone is engaging in self-destructive behavior because of whatever reason, and you have the tools to help open the door to something that's not self-destructive, is that manipulation, or is that?
I do. I open the door all the time. I'm constantly opening the door. I can do, but that's all I can do. I can't manipulate.
Well, but you can make it more attractive. You can make it more enticing. You can make it more whatever. Is that manipulation, or is that trying to help somebody? You know, it depends on how you contextualize it, right?
If it's not attractive and enticing on its own, there's not much more I can do to like candy coat it for them so that they follow other people might be able to. Like, there's people that make YouTube videos and they put fancy graphics and they make it really eye-catching to draw in. That's not an interest I have. If I can't present open the door and present the opportunity and the possibility, and then they can't grasp it and have the motivation for it, then I don't know
Well,
what else I can do.
it
Because
goes
that's what
back to
works
the
for
Obama.
me.
It goes back to the Obama filmmaking endeavor, right? Like, there is money being spent on entertainment, on the proliferation of ideas and ideals, and if it's going into certain, whatever their motivation is, there is time, energy, and attention being dedicated to those things, right? And just telling people, well, you're stupid if you're a conspiracy theorist, is not exactly enticing. See what I'm saying? Like, that's not exactly uh, helping people get out of their thing. Like, it's almost like a reverse psychology. It's like almost encouraging people, you're on the right track. You
Because
see
then
what I'm
they
saying?
get
Like,
it defensive and they lock in, they like dig in even further.
oh, of course, yeah, absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm not you in particular, because you may not know, but I it's hard for me to calculate from my position, but I assume that stupid people know they're stupid. Like people that can't do math, I assume they know they can't do math. They don't go around pretending like they're a mathematician if they don't know how to do math. I know I don't pretend to do things I'm not good at. I know the areas I'm stupid in. So when I point out that like you don't know how to diagram a sentence, that's not how that works forever. I think I'm helping them. Like maybe they thought they were doing it right, and if I point it out, they'll realize, oh, okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. Let me figure out the right way to do it. Maybe that's
Yeah,
an
I mean,
incorrect assumption on my part.
yeah, I saw that conversation. That was a very interesting conversation you had.
Maybe stupid people really think that they're being the best, the most intelligent they can be, and maybe me pointing out that they're not is not the best approach. I know I like when I'm being stupid. I like it. I like having it pointed out because I don't want to be stupid. And when
There's
someone
a difference.
smarter than me
There's a
tells me
difference.
how I'm being stupid, I'm appreciative.
Well, would you agree that there's a difference between street smarts and book smarts?
Yes, like social
Like,
emotional intelligence and
right. So, like, what I'm saying is, like, do you think, like, if you go on the street and somebody's trying to give you a free necklace and they're trying to put something around your thing, and you know that you have a $5,000 necklace around your neck, are you gonna think that there's something afoot, or are you gonna think that this person is just trying to give you a free gift? See what I mean?
well, I'm skeptical that strangers just give away free gifts, but I would be gracious. I would be like, thank you, no, thank you, but I wouldn't think it's like this big
Right.
conspiracy to get.
And when they escalated and kept trying to get close to you and put their hands around you, you're gonna
I would
start
just walk
freaking out
away.
at some
I would
point,
just
right?
walk away. No, I wouldn't freak out. I would just
Well,
walk
assuming
away.
that you can and that they don't have three guys on the
Well,
side
at
who are going to
that
grab
point,
you and
it's
steal a necklace
assault or
from you.
something, and I would get law enforcement involved.
Right, right. But that's what I'm saying about this whole thing is like a lot of people are feeling manipulated, and if they're not being taken seriously that they're feeling manipulated, then it's kind of going to reinforce the fact that they feel manipulated,
Well, I
right?
wish
Like,
they would talk about that then. I wish they would talk about this. Not so much like Obama did this or the AI or the Jews are doing this, but I feel manipulated. I don't know who to trust. I'm not sure what to make of all the information coming my way. I don't know how to make sense of the world. I'm scared of this. That would be a more useful conversation for me than
no, I agree, and I think that that's kind of where I'm
surface,
coming in.
surface
That's the
oriented
angle.
take with this
That's
conspiracy.
the angle that I'm trying to come at things from, because I think that there is a real phenomenon going on. I think people are. I mean, this is well known in certain psychological and like scientific circles. Like, this is a very real phenomenon, and it's like they talk about it. They're aware of it. A lot of these social media companies, especially, like, they're very aware that people are feeling
And they're playing on
very
that.
freaked out. Very freaked out.
There's profit in it, exploiting that. Like outrage content. And oh, you went on mute.
Well, it's a lot more subtle than that, but yeah, I mean, certainly I think that's part of it. But I think the subtleness of a lot of the stuff of like we were talking about, like the whole like you and I were talking about the whole we went from writing letters 1,000 years ago, and then we got the printing press, and then we got telephones in every city, and then we got them in our house, and then we got email, and then we got instant messaging, and then we got chat rooms, and then it's like a progressive thing. And so the way that you and I grew up as kids is nothing like how we're growing up now. And you know, if you live long enough, you can start to see a pattern. But you know, for if you're just growing up in the system as a kid now versus a kid, you know, 20 years ago or 50 years ago or whatever, you know, you're just kind of you know, growing up without much reference other than things that reference the past that you didn't experience personally, right? And so what I'm saying is people are noticing that this is a very people are feeling very alienated in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a natural reaction. So, you know, it goes back to the idea of mental health. Like, is it wrong to feel a certain way? Like, if you're reacting to your environment, is it you that's the problem, or is it the environment that's the problem? This is my problem with mental health in general, is because, or psychology in general, is like it assumes that the environment is healthy and the person is unhealthy. I think that is a very
like most of my work is like a lot of the work I do is trying to help people identify unhealthy environments and get themselves into healthier environments. But also, the more agency and locus of control you can have over the problem, the more that's going to empower you. So it's both. It's like regardless of what the problem is, the more control you can take over it, whether it's you're the source of it or not, that's only going to help you. So
well,
I
sure.
focus on what the individual can do to overcome the problem, regardless of whether it's the environment or not. And I also try to help them identify which environments have a negative effect on them and try to get them to healthier environments too. Like how to help, like get the unhealthy people out of your life, how to find healthier people, build a healthier network and support system, etc.
So if there was a large body of evidence that was accumulated in the next 10 years, for example, that found that human beings with very limited technology were much healthier, happier people, would you promote the use of that information to construct a different type of society than what we have currently?
I'm not interested in constructing society at all, because I think society is mostly an emergent phenomena. But say the first part again.
Okay. If the large body of evidence showed that the best environment for healthy, happy, productive human beings was a much lower tech society that they were living in, would you promote that version of society over not that over what we currently have in the current trajectory that we're on?
I think happiness is determined at the individual scale. So for some people, it might be a low-tech environment. For some people, it might be a high-tech environment. So I would still look at it on a case-by-case individual
Okay.
basis.
Well, what is the metric of mental health that you use? If it's not
a lot of it
happiness?
is subjective, but you can look at things like functioning too. Are you able to? Are things impacting your functioning? And if your mental health improves, are you able to function better or meet the goals that you're trying to meet? Or have the relationships you're trying to have, and etc.
Sure. Well, functioning to me is a word that kind of necessarily entails that there is a purpose behind it, right? And I think a lot of people are very confused as to what purpose there is for them.
Well, that's part of, I think, good mental health and self-care is finding a purpose or having some goals and it's the difference between like floating in the ocean and you can't see things for miles and miles versus floating in the ocean and way on the horizon there's this island that you can see. It gives you something to it's less hopeless and it gives you something to move towards. So I think having any kind of purpose at all is going to be even the tiniest factor in helping to improve your mental health.
Okay. Do you think that there's any methodologies that could possibly help people determine the correct purpose and methodologies for them to achieve those purposes? And
I don't know about methodology because I'm very skeptical of like this technocratic manualized healthcare. I think it's at the individual level, it's the skill of the individual professional, and it's determined collaboratively with the client, and again intersubjectively, more than it's this method or template that you could just implement. And I think that's the mistake that at least the public health mental health systems that I've worked in try to do. They try to create a method or a process that they can just run people through that just works for everybody. And I don't think that's how you do effective mental health care. It might be a Band-Aid solution for some people and like get them on the path of good mental health. But I think what you're talking about, helping people find their purpose and their goals, etc., that takes the skill of an individual practitioner in collaboration with an individual client. I don't know.
See what you said there. You said
that would replace that would be as effective.
But see, the word you used there, you said the technocratic approach. Why is it that in mental health that's not a good thing, but for every other sector of society we accept a certain level of technocracy?
I don't know that it's good for. I wouldn't use it for education. I wouldn't use it for mental health. I see it creeping into healthcare, and it can automate some of the routine stuff, but on balance, more often than not, I think it's a detriment because you lose that personal one-on-one touch with your healthcare provider. But then it can help with things like banking and job searches and interview like resume creation, that type of stuff. So there's some tasks that I think do lend themselves to a technocratic approach and can be automated. But there's like the more humanistic ones, the one that involves the things that the machine can't do, that human subjective judgment and subjective touch, and that human ability to empathize and like really tune into the individual. I think those lend themselves less well to a technocratic approach because I think you still need that human skill. Like I would agree with machines in those realms, but I think that the realms where humans are not as skilled as the machine, like the realms where you want to automate things and make it like online banking, for example. I don't ever have to talk to a teller anymore. I could just press buttons and move my money around.
Right, and I think that, see, this is where you and I would find a large agreement, because I think that this is kind of where I get into the whole mental health thing in general. Is like I said, is like, you know, how do you evaluate an environment's goodness or not goodness in relation to your mental well-being, right? And then, because you have to assume, A, the purpose of the environment, B, the purpose of the individual, and do those things
more the purpose of the individual, because the environment doesn't always have a purpose. Sometimes it's just like it's for that person in particular. The environment's not intentionally designed to do anything, but the person themselves could be having an adverse experience or relation to that environment. So I would say more what the person's purpose is, and then you can evaluate environments in relation to what that purpose is, or what their mental health needs are, what their therapeutic goals, etc.
Yeah.
So
and
I don't think you need to assume a purpose of the environment, or even if there is one, I don't think it's as relevant to mental health as what the individual's purpose is. You and Chris talk for a few seconds. I got to go pee really badly. I'll be back.
Sure. Chris, I would love your impression of what we're talking about, because I think we're on a cusp of something very big, but I don't know how to I don't know where to take it from here, because I think it's a very dicey area what we're talking about. I think you're kind of seeing it from an external point of view, so I would like to see what you think about what we're saying here.
I was ignoring you guys. I'm just kidding.
Asshole. No, go ahead. No, seriously. What do you think? In the chat too. I'd be curious what everybody.
You guys just like. You guys just said a whole lot of stuff. So like, give me one specific point you would like respond on, because I don't know how to respond to all of that.
Well, the last point that we were on about, is it the environment? Is it the purpose of the environment? Is it the purpose of the individual? Is it the environment that's sick, or is it the individual that's sick? And how do you really tell the difference? And also, like, do you really have a choice in your environment? Do you really have a choice of your personal purpose? And this is the thing, is like, do we get to pick it? Do we get to pick and choose our purpose? Do we get to pick and choose our environment? Is that going to be the reality? And like, he's saying that like technology and technocracy is creeping into these facets of our life, but and he's saying, well, we shouldn't put it in mental health, we shouldn't put it in healthcare, but do we really have a choice as to whether that's going to be the case or not? And can a computer evaluate the teleology of a person correctly? Can it evaluate the conditions of the environment correctly? Like, if you're in a family that's abusive, and because they're telling you that a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man, and you say no, they're not, and the computer says, well, you're the one who's wrong. And this is just a very basic bitch example, but you get the idea. Like, if the computer says, well, having this impression, having this interpolation that you can't be a man or woman with these certain chromosomes or whatever doesn't fit with the current, you know, consensus, whether you want to call it scientific or not, how do we navigate those things, right? Like, how, if you don't really have a choice of being in that environment, well, now what do you do? Do you become antisocial and leave society? Do you accept that your feelings might be
If you
right,
don't,
or do you,
if you, I mean,
or
like
do you
in the
go?
abusive family situation. Okay, so like, I mean, do you have a choice? I mean, and when if you're a child, you don't really have a choice, like case in that scenario. So that's like, if you're an adult, yeah, I mean, like there's definitely if it's really a family and you really care about them and stuff like that, and despite the fact they're toxic, I mean, I think it's worth maybe trying to give a try to heal it. But yeah, I mean, you probably need to leave that environment. But at the same time, like, yes, and to your first few questions on that was like, is it the individual being sick? Yes, the individual can be sick. Is the environment that can be sick? Yes, the environment can be sick. All of these things can be sick and toxic in their own ways and can affect people. And it's not one thing or another. It is a network. It is a web of interconnecting factors that make up. I mean, I think that I look at like a human being, right? A human being is not just a human being. It is we are made up of individual cells, and in us we have viruses, and we have like individual organisms that we have mites that live in our eyelashes that eats like the trash off our eyelashes. We each one of us is an ecosystem in itself. And when you add two or three, add an extra person to that creates its own new ecosystem. And you add another person, creates a further extension
And
of the
then you
ecosystem.
add a complex technological system on top of that, and see what I'm saying? Like, now you're trying to fit an extremely complex situation of just two people together, or three people, or a tribe together, and mesh that with an extremely complex system of, well, social consensus and technological consensus and scientific consensus and philosophical consensus and religious consensus, and see what I mean? Like, it's compounding exponentially.
Here's where my optimism runs up against I guess like your view a little bit, is that I do think that, though, despite all those factors and despite the fact that the technology can absolutely be bad, it can actually be bad for people. It can cause harm. It can cause a lot of harm. So can guns. So can sticks. So can medicine. So can everything that we create or do, even including our own hands. We can kill ourselves with our own hands. We can choke ourselves to death with our fist if we wanted to. I mean, we smoke goddamn cigarettes. We do all these things that are bad. You can call any of that technology. We can create any number of things that can destroy us. However, I think that the beauty of what humanity is that our ability to adapt, the intelligent ones anyway, that our ability to adapt to the technology and to integrate it and use it in a way that actually will improve things, as opposed to just accepting the fact that the technology will definitely be bad for us. It doesn't have to be. It can be, and it probably in an innate like an unrecognized way, if it's just allowed to just sit there, like it's like a virus that if you ignore it, it'll eventually take over your body and kill you, or cancer or something like that. It can, if it's undisturbed and not not integrated in the proper way. Yeah, I mean, it definitely it can be a deadly thing, for not just for individual people but for society itself. But I do believe in the power of humanity to adapt and to take these things and use them against those that would use them against us, and actually use them to improve our world and improve our lives, and create new things and create new ideas that actually will progress us towards the ultimate goal that technology is not the technology is the tool itself, I thought, not the use of tools. I'm sorry. I didn't. You said you were drowning in this argument, Jack. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No. That's not a reflection on. That's not a reflection on you guys. It's a reflection on me because I think that even myself, I think a lot of this is about how do you really define our terms and what. And I think this is also kind of like what I'm trying to get at in a very poor way, which is that I think that I think that because we don't really have the tools in language currently as a social or as a human being or societal level or however you want to categorize it, I don't think we have the ability to contextualize the gravity of the situation we're really talking about. And
I feel like the best offense, the best defense is a good offense, and I think we're better off taking and embracing these things and using them to fight forward instead of trying to shrink back from them.
Well, here's what I'm going to say to you on that. You may be correct, but I think that we need to really put that hypothesis to a test, at least of logic, and start from there and see if it's a self-detonating logic train that you're on, just in the same way that we should do the same for people like myself, a machine, because I think either side of us could be correct or it could be somewhere in the middle, but I think that at least trying to contextualize this in a successful way would be in our best interest either way, right? Like, I don't think that...
If you look throughout history, though, every single technological advancement we've ever had, including writing, including systems of writing, or the idea of stories in books and things like that, were considered potentially destructive and possibly the end of civilization every single time. And human beings managed to take them and use them to progress civilization forward. I mean, like, there's never been a technological advancement that has not been
just in what you said there, but just in what you said right there, there's already so much, sorry to say, presuppositions that you're saying, you're just implying, well, it's progress is in and of itself a good thing. In and of itself, you're saying that's a good thing.
Well, no more presupposition than
I'm not saying it's necessarily a good thing. I'm saying it is inevitable. You cannot stop it. It's not something that you can run away from. I mean, you can go out and and go out like what do you guys call it in TML's like Discord, like Uncle Tom or Uncle
Ted.
Uncle Ted's Cabin type thing. You can go be Kaczynski and go live out in the woods and shit in people's in bathtubs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's not a real argument though. I mean, I'm not mad at you.
It's an extreme example. It's an extreme example. I'm saying you can try to pull back from society and you can try to live that life if you want to, and you have that choice.
But see, what I'm saying is very different than that. What I'm saying is. Yeah, what I'm saying is very different than that. I'm not saying that I'm saying as a society, as a people, we should have the ability to examine the situation that we're in a very accurate way with language. And if we can't do that, that's a fucking problem, right? And so all I'm saying is let's try to say what is first before we jump to an ought, right? You're saying, well, we can't stop it, so we just ought to just go with it. I mean, that's very different than me saying, let's figure out what the situation that we're in is first.
I love this new Jack. It's so great to see you.
What do you mean?
That's the same shit I've been trying to get people to do.
Yeah, and look, I'm actually borrowing this from Andrew the Crucible, and I hate to do that, but it's of like trying to contextualize what is, right? Like, we just have to figure out what is the case first. The difference is Andrew assumes he knows what the situation is, at least in his argumentation method. I'm saying I don't know what we're in. I don't know what's going on, right? All I know is the way that people are contextualizing it doesn't make any fucking sense, right?
Well, how are they currently contextualizing
it? Give me an example of how they're contextualizing it that doesn't make sense. I'm just curious. Not. This isn't like because I'm questioning what you're saying, because I'm just not sure exactly what you're referring to when you say that. That's all.
Well, just the fact that, like, we have to accept that technology is just going to progress, and we just have to accept we're going to have this AI. We're going to have to accept all this. It's like, well, yeah, because people are just making that assumption because they don't know what's going on, And maybe a lot of people don't care to know, but the people who do, we just get labeled conspiracy theorist or
But how would you stop it
Uncle
though?
Ted lover or something. You see what I mean? Like,
How would you stop it though?
well, it doesn't matter how we would stop it. We should find out,
And how do
should we
you
stop
know?
it?
You're
We should find out.
assuming that you
We
know.
should
Okay,
find
but
out
okay,
what's going on
I'm saying
first.
I'm going with your point. I'm saying okay, so we find out that we should stop it. That it's definitely there's no
Well,
way that it can
here's the
be
thing:
used in a
if
good
we
way.
don't
How do
know
we stop it?
if we don't know what the situation is, that's a moot point, anyways, because we don't have an accurate idea of what we're looking at.
But you
Right?
seem convinced that you do.
I seem convinced that we don't know what we're looking at.
Well,
That's
that's
what I'm.
my
Okay.
position. But you seem to.
But you're not worried about it. I am worried about it.
But if you don't know what's going on, why are you why is your default worry?
I mean, I'm concerned. I wouldn't say I'm worried. I have concerns. I'm not 100% on the that all technology, no matter what. I mean, certainly if you get into genetic manipulation, you get into the kind of the gene editing type stuff, things like that. I think there's a lot of that kind of technology that I'm very dubious of.
Right, but that's the thing is, like, you're dubious about that, but you don't even care to stop that, and that's stuff 100%. Like,
How
I
is
can't.
Chris going to
How
stop?
would I stop
be
it?
catastrophic. Well, regardless of if you can stop it or not, if people are not going to volunteer to gene edit themselves if they knew that there's risk of ending the human race, for example, right?
No, I think they still will. I think people do things like that all the time. I think, and unfortunately, I mean, like we created the nuclear bomb knowing that it would potentially
Well, it's not
destroy
that
the human race.
we as human beings did not do that. A very small group of people did that.
Yeah, it wasn't society as a whole, but I'm saying it doesn't. I'm saying that, but no matter what, I mean, yeah, maybe a lot of people could have been against it, or if they knew about it, if it wasn't a secret program, there could have been people that would have been against it. They might have protested or something. I don't think it would have stopped it in any way. I mean, unless we're talking about some sort of violent revolution to try to stop that type thing from happening. I just don't see. I don't see a way to stop. I mean, like, as much as I would like to think that like we could convince the scientists. I mean, we could have had people like Elon Musk and everything saying that we need to put a pause on AI technology research and stuff like that, and like people that are actually influential and actually involved in this stuff, and yet nothing happens from it. Nobody.
See,
nobody
that's a good example, though. He says on one side, we should put a pause on it. On the other side, he's in a arms race against the other people who have been doing that already.
Because the Chinese and everything, they're not going to stop. They're not going to. So it's better for us to have the technology, but it's the same reason with the nuclear bombs and stuff like that.
See,
If there's,
that's the narrative that's being told to us, but we have no way to confirm exactly what's going on either way.
You don't think that's
Well,
happening?
that's
I mean,
a judgment call, whether or not it's better for us to have the technology.
I mean, we do
over
know
them.
to a degree they are, because we've seen that they've released some evidence of their advancements.
Sure,
that way. I mean,
but what I'm saying,
that's happening.
No, sure, I know, but what I'm saying is we're always given a certain narrative to paint the angle at which we should be concerned, but never like a little bit further back perspective of like, should we even be fucking with that shit? You know what I mean? Like, that's a very different argument.
Yeah, no,
than,
I mean,
well, the Chinese might get a hold of it first, so we have to.
There's definitely a good argument to make to say that we shouldn't be fucking with it. I see your point. I don't know how to stop people from fucking with it though. I mean, it's like one of those things. Once it's out there, it's one of those things. It's like, okay, you drop a couple of drops of blood into a pool, and no matter what you do, like I mean, you'll never, without draining that pool and putting new water in it, you'll never get the blood that has distributed itself throughout that water. It's never going to come out. You're never going to get it. You're never going to be able to pull it back out of there. It's in the water now. Like, it's in our collective society and over in the world, and you can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's out there, and therefore we have to deal with the genie now. We have to deal with this demon, if you want to contextualize it. Like, if you want to consider it evil and you want to see it as something that like a demon of some sort, then the demon is already out there. It's already in existence. We can't put it back in So we have to deal with it as it is. We can't deal with it
Right.
as though
Exactly.
it
Exactly.
is.
And I agree. And so that's why I'm saying is like, people often say, and I think I know the title of my next video is going to be something to the effect of like, the genie's out of the bottle and something like that. But, but here's the thing, let's say that you're correct, which I agree with, that the demon is out of the genie is out of the bottle, and we don't know what the fuck it is and what it's capable of and what it's doing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We better fucking figure that shit out pretty fucking quick. Would you agree or not?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I can. I mean, I'm no expert on those things, and
I know that you're not, but what I'm saying is, in general, and what I'm saying is, the people who are actively participating in that, like, let me put it this way: people already don't hold politicians who are allegedly in charge of our system of government to any real account at the end of the day. Not really, right? And I would argue that the people who are building this technological system have much more ability to destroy society and human life on this earth that are fucking with this technology, right?
Right.
So,
I mean, look at COVID
we
itself. Like the out of
need
function,
some.
the out of function stuff. Like they
So,
even made it illegal, and it's still
right.
and they still did it anyway.
Right. So what I'm saying is, if we don't start figuring out A, what's going on, and B, figure out how we're going to get some handle on the situation, just generally as human beings, we're kind of just at the mercy of A, whatever this thing is, and B, the people who are doing all this, research and construction of the technology, right? Now, does that mean that I'm a crazy Uncle Ted person? No, I'm actually arguing. I'm arguing the complete opposite. I know. I'm just saying this as a rhetorical thing.
Yeah.
I'm actually arguing for the complete opposite of that. I'm arguing for people to go and get involved, not as a profit motive, but as a conscientious, not objector, but qualifier, like QA, like quality assurance. What the fuck are we doing, and should we be doing it? Because if it has the potential for great good, it certainly has at least the same amount of potential for great harm.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. I mean, a gun can defend you, and it can also murder you, and you can also kill yourself with it. I mean, yeah. I mean, anything like that has
there are
any kind
people
of
out there
destructive
doing that.
any kind of destructive potential has potential to be defensive or this or that. I mean, there's lots of. I mean, you can make the argument about just about every piece of technology that exists.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that were against the printing press had the same thing. They thought that the ability to spread ideas on that level was going to be the end of civilization. That people wouldn't know how to handle the information, and it would cause chaos and things like that. I mean, like, and those and like, they could have had a point, but it didn't, because like ultimately, I think mankind has the ability to anyway. I mean, granted, I don't know, and maybe we won't survive this. Maybe this is the end or whatever. But that's the reason why I've been saying for a long time. That's why my focus isn't on those negatives and stuff like that. I'm focusing on building.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree.
Build the best life
I agree. I'm just saying, if humans going to go out this way, we should do it facing it, not hiding from it. It's like, when people say, if there's an asteroid going to hit the Earth and it's going to wipe out the Earth tomorrow, we shouldn't tell people. I disagree. I think people should have to face what they're looking at, right? Like, why rob people of being aware? You see what I'm saying? I don't agree that people can't handle whatever, especially at the point we're at. And again, even if we can't handle it, I mean, I would take my risk letting people see what's in front of them rather than
do you think people are hiding
let a bus run them over. Absolutely, yeah, I absolutely do.
Where, like, what dangerous? Because I want to know too. If people are hiding something from me, I want to know too.
Well, I think it's more just the fact that, like, like they do all this talk about we need to get women in STEM and we need to do this for women and all that. To me, that's all like a purposeful distract. You won't see it this way. I see it this way. I see that as a purposeful distraction from getting human beings involved in the process, right? I think they want a compartmentalized involvement.
Yeah.
And so that means that the system as it exists now has to not
Who
only
is
stand
they,
but
though?
evolve.
How do
The
we go from
the
hiding
people at the
information
top of
to
the tech
limiting
fields and stuff like
STEM?
that, and the people in the tech field and the government and stuff like that, people that push the DEI agendas, the people that push these kinds of.
Oh, I don't even worry about them.
They have had a detrimental effect on society. I mean, they
Yeah, I
definitely
do,
have.
but I don't. And I
Well,
think
yeah.
that
I mean, put it this
there's
way.
something on the lane.
Don't take this wrong way, Jeff. But I mean, look, why do they want straight men out of the halls of power? Because most straight men who care about the future because they have kids and whatnot are going to start looking at this stuff and start saying, "What the fuck are we doing?"
Are you talking
You
about
know what I mean?
the woke ideologues? Because they're the
Well, they
ones
don't
that,
have
like,
an
not
investment.
everybody wants straight men out of power. It's that
They don't have an investment in the future, is what I'm saying. They don't have the same level of investment.
they have an investment in their version of the future, which is not
Yeah, I
mine.
mean, a lot of them are
And that's
rich.
why
But
I
that's
oppose
very,
it.
but that's a very different. That's a very different thing than what I'm referring to, though. Like that's a very like.
That's what I'm
you know, that's-
confused by it. So because it started with what dangers people are hiding from us, and suddenly we're on woke and women in STEM and not wanting straight men and
Well,
all. And
someone who-
I'm just talking about, like,
what-
what's the asteroid that's coming that they're hiding from us, whoever they
If you
is.
had to go hunting in a dangerous land up north, would you pick the woman with blue hair and 15 piercings in her face, or would you pick the dude who's got rough hands and lives in a cave in the north and grunts
I
at
would
you?
ask-
You're probably going to pick that dude, right? Like,
What's
see what
the
I'm saying? Like,
asteroid that they're hiding, though? I don't. I
well,
still
my
even
point
know
is,
who they is.
if you're going hunting in the Arctic with polar bears, you're going to want the dude who knows and can see and predict kind of like what the dangers are going into that land, right?
Sure. Okay.
And it's
yeah.
usually going to be a man who is thinking in the terms of planning and plotting and thinking
it could be
about
a woman.
a strategy.
It
I don't know. It's always going to be a
could
man.
be. It could be. It could be. Of course, I'm not saying that it's always going to be a man.
I asked you if you thought that there were dangers.
But we're talking about
we're
talking about.
and you said absolutely. So I asked what you thought they were, and
We're talking about probability. Sure. Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
what's probable and not what's
So
possible.
what I'm
easy.
saying is,
I get that.
what I'm saying is that. So you want to know how I think? Why? You are. Ask me a very specific question. Are you saying how do I know that that's happening?
I did.
Re-
I
re-
said,
rephrase the question because I don't think I heard it correctly.
currently hid from us. You said yes. So I asked you what you thought those were, and that's where we got stalled.
Okay. So you want to know what I think is being obfuscated, or how?
Yeah. What danger are what's the asteroid they're not telling us about? What danger is coming at us that they're hiding?
Well, AI is what we're kind of.
Well, I think I think there are dangers. I don't think anybody knows. I don't think it's deliberate. Somebody deliberately saying, "Oh, these are the dangers. We're not going to tell anybody." I don't think anybody fucking knows what to expect.
Yes, I agree with you. We don't know for sure, but we have a pretty good idea of general like we have like general guardrails that we know like something between here and here is what's going to occur, right? And we could be totally off, but we have some idea. And again, I go back to like the writing a letter versus the printing press versus email versus what we're doing right now. Just at a consumer level, forget the military application for the moment, right? Just take that as an analogy, right? Now we're introducing technology that can process information instantly, and that we're going to be reliant on. It's not so much the technology in and of itself; it's that we're going to be reliant upon it.
You don't have to rely on it.
Yeah, absolutely, you do. Our stock
And then we have
markets,
quantum computing on the horizon too.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, let's just take it on a basic level since we can't even get people to think about the basic stuff. Like, your retirement is tied up in a stock market that has already been gamified. The stock market's been around for like 1,000 years.
I don't
almost.
have retirement.
Yeah, I don't have a retirement, so I have nothing.
Okay, but you get the idea. You get the idea. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be shaking a cup in this corner.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm either going to find a job eventually and work till the day I die, or end up doing.
But
this
I
until
get you
die.
for like other people, like normal people's retirement.
Yeah, a lot of
is
people
tied
their
up in-
pensions and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. But people individually making decisions with real world information coming in from around the world via fax and phone calls and telegrams or whatever
So
the fuck they
other
do
people
today.
will be relying on it, and not necessarily you, but
right.
other people might be
Well,
relying on AI.
Well, the global economy is relying right now on supercomputers to make trades in a nanosecond between these corporations, right? And your retirement is tied to such thing, and your monetary system is tied to it. And now we're relying on these computers to make certain things. Well, in the same way that you know, the vulnerability is not only from the fact that these companies have uh, you know far more access to this information and the processes than we do, but but it also leaves a vulnerability that if somebody were to interrupt those things, it would interrupt the global economy, right? And then you add into the fact that if some natural disaster or something took down this global economy, things would just stop because people wouldn't know
I'll
what
tell
to
you what
do.
I'm worried
It seems
about.
like you could say that about
I'm worried about the
anything.
coming
You
of
could doom
Zardoz.
about anything.
No, but look, it's very different. If we had a system like we had 500 years ago, where people were sending ships to go send letters from England to America or whatever, that's very different than instant connected monetary system around the world that people can hack into, or or the power could go out, or I mean, I'm just saying I'm not making a judgment on it. I'm just saying that is very different, right? That's very different, right?
Yeah.
Right. So the interconnectedness and the interdependence is a in and of itself is a liability and a vulnerability that we
Yeah, but
should take
that's
into
not
consideration.
avoidable. We're already there. We're stuck there.
Well,
I'm with Chris. What are you going to do about even if this is true? What are you going to do about it? What can you do about it?
what could? But see, here's the thing. You're saying that we can't do anything about it. Why? If we know it's a vulnerability.
I'm asking what you think we
I
can do about
know I know what we can do in terms of for us. We can, like I said, once I see something that we can build the best life raft we can. We can build for the best future we can. We can build on our side of it and use those tools to our best advantage to try to create something that is survivable and sustainable for at least the people that are worth saving. Like I said, save the living first. If I say all the time. However, but just because I know that the technology it could potentially wipe out all humanity and everything like that, just because I know those things exist. I mean, and I'm not talking about prepper either, but I'm just saying, but like I'm talking about trying to do something that's proactively countering that kind of thing with using its own I mean, I have this, like I told you, this is my kind of overall view of the arc of history is that of of dark forces constantly trying to trying to take control of things and they always end up creating their own demise. They always end up creating the thing that ends up like defeating them in the end. And I think that's what's happening here is that if the intelligent people that do see it and do see the potential for both sides, those things that they're creating that might be made to control us, that might be made to hurt us in those ways, that is a path for us to actually take back more control and do transcend and evolve beyond what we are now. Because without those conflicts and without the pressure of that danger, we don't really adapt and evolve. We almost need the negative aspects of it in order to. And I'm not talking about. I'm not trying to be an accelerationist in that sense of we need to starve people so they'll have a revolution. I don't mean like that. I mean that, but like there is a constant in history. There's a constant struggle between darkness and light or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm just simplifying it like that. I'm not trying to be like woo spiritual or anything. I'm just saying like there is a constant struggle between these things, and the conflict and the friction between those sides is what creates the fire that ultimately that creates the light that leads us to the next part. It is a necessary part
Right. No, exactly.
of human progression.
And here's what I'm saying is the missing element to what you're describing. I agree in general. I don't want to get too deep into that let's just say in general, for the sake of conversation, I agree with that. Here's what I'm saying is the missing element. If you recognize that we're in this situation, which we all recognize at some level, we recognize that we're playing with fire to some degree, right?
Or the potential for it anyway. Yeah.
Right. What you would want is people who are competent, healthy,
Absolutely.
selfless-ish kind of people,
Save a
right?
living
You
truth.
don't
Yeah.
you don't want blue-haired crazy people who are just like,
No.
fuck about who cares
I
about
agree with
tomorrow.
you
I'll
there.
inject heroin in my eyeball and have sex with 20 people today just because I feel like it. See what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
like, I'm
like I
not
said,
making a
save the
personal
living
judgment
truth.
on those
Yeah.
people. Yeah, I'm not making a personal judgment upon those people. But what I'm saying is, if we have the ability to do all this stuff, like go to the moon and go to Mars and build this AI, why can't we at least socially engineer people to be healthy, happy, well-adjusted individuals that are concerned with their environment getting completely out of control, right?
Because
That's
they are individuals and they will make those decisions despite it, no matter how much we try to socially engineer them in those ways, like people will
well.
resist it.
But here's the thing: you can see evidence. You can certainly see evidence, whether we know their intent or not, that there is some element of social engineering occurring. Now,
Yeah, for sure.
that's why when I say of like Obama and stuff, like I'm just using him as an example. He may be the most right-wing authoritarian ever, and he's playing a role of a woke leftist or whatever because he's trying to drive the opposite reaction just in the way that you're mentioning. See what I'm saying? Like, I'm not taking that off the table, but what I'm saying is we don't know the intent, but what we do know is the result. That's what I'm getting at, right?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I
Right.
can be down with that. But I don't feel like how you said that there was like that was missing from my point. But like my point actually included that. I mean, I'm including that. As I said, when I say save the living first, I'm talking about like I can only focus on trying to create something for the people that I that are responsive to the thing I'm trying to create, and I can't control everybody. And like in that there is going to be. I do believe that there is transformative potential in art and in community that actually can turn some of the blue hairs or whatever you want to call them around and actually get them to realize that the stupidity and
Yeah, we were
the
doing
idiocy of
really
some of
good
the
with
things.
Lib for a while.
Oh no, and actually that's the thing is like I actually see I see a lot of the dangers of what people project onto the blue-haired libs of the world. I mean, I think that that actually a lot of the right-wing people who are having this false idea that their solution is to just be trad and be Christian and they're going to beat this situation via that way. I think they're actually more of a danger in a lot of ways than these.
Yeah, no, I agree with you
That,
there. Those people are as
you know,
numb and dead-minded as the libtards
well,
on
well, well,
the
they, well, they,
libtards. So I mean,
well, I think that they have a false belief that, or at least a dubious belief that their their version of resistance to the things that we're talking about are going to work, right? I think that they're. I mean, I personally think they're being fooled on purpose, but let's just say that it's their own ignorance. I think that that's a danger, right? And that's kind of why I've been trying to reach out to them and show them some, you know, uh, poke some holes in their logic because if I'm right, then maybe they can avert some of the problems that they have. And if I'm wrong, well, I'll be corrected, and that's great too. Like I'm happy to be corrected, But I keep seeing more evidence that I'm not really
yeah, sure.
wrong.
I mean, I don't
being a
even think
problem.
I think we're talking past each other maybe a little bit, but I don't think we're even really arguing. I mean, I feel like I mean, and I have felt for a long time, like in all of our conversations, Jack, I feel like we've been on the same side of this stuff. I mean, I think that we both
I know.
kind of agree on most of these things.
Yeah, I'm just speaking passionately. I'm not actually not in much disagree. I think there's like minor disagreements between the three of us, but I think in general we're kind of like we're concerned about the same thing. We approach it from different angles, right?
Yeah,
And I think
that's
that's a good
important.
starting point.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's like I'm saying, like the conflict is what helps us refine. Is necessary for refinement. It's conflict and like friction is necessary for fire for to create those passionate things, and to the fire itself is something that helps to refine the impure metals into gold, type of thing. You need to. It's like the crucible concept, even though I don't like the crucible itself. I do like the fact that they named like their debate channel the crucible, because I think it's a cool concept of the fact that their debate channel is supposed to be about like the heating everything up to the point where only like the best the purest stuff is on top, right?
Oh,
That's
they
the
wish.
idea. Yeah, I know they wish, but I say like I like the concept. I don't like the crucible itself, but I like the
Well,
concept.
I mean, my personal opinion is I think that well, I'm actually not going to say exactly what I think, but I think that if you look at the
Why
play,
do you tease us like that?
that's just me. That's my kink, man.
You're holding back.
Don't kink
You
shame.
talk
Don't
about
kink
like
shame.
wanting people to be transparent about dangers, and then you come and hold
well,
back. This.
because I think I'm dropping breadcrumbs because I want people to kind of pick up on what I'm saying and try to like either expound upon it or disprove it. But I think that what I would say is this: like, if you look at the Platonic idea of people in charge are the gold and the people below them are silver and the people below them are whatever the fuck, right? I think
Well,
that
that's not
that's
how I
kind
see
of
it, but yeah, but I see it
no,
as
I
more
know,
so the
but
opposite.
Go ahead, Jack.
but I think that is what I think that is kind of the underlying thing, and I think a lot of this comes back to the noble lie. I think a lot of what we see going on is people trying to tell noble lies, but I think a lot of the times these people are drinking their own fucking Kool-Aid, in my opinion.
Yeah, a lot of them are. I mean, that's been. I mean, that's been true throughout all history. People have been drinking their own Kool-Aid since time immemorial. But I mean, we can't. That's why I say like I believe in the transformative power and the transcendent power of art and conversation and community and to that degree. And that's the reason why that's what I focus on. I see everything you're saying. I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I feel like, I mean, we kind of had a conversation similar to this just the other night on Discord, and like I mean I felt like we were kind of like coming to a similar kind of position about the fact that and it's because I've been saying this for a while. I don't, that's the reason why I don't want to focus on the conspiracy stuff. That's why I don't want to focus on the negative, because I'd much rather focus on the future and building something that actually has the ability to create change.
No, I
as opposed
agree,
to
but what I'm
as
saying
opposed to
is
focusing on the things we're trying
no.
to change.
I agree with you, but here's the thing. I think that we need to attract these conspiracy people into a more constructive understanding, right? Because I personally think that
They have
they're
to
on the
choose it.
right. Sure, of course, but I think we can do things to attract them. Not because they're wrong. Like I think a lot of conspiracy people are right in their heart, but I think that if you can kind of show them like a productive way to put that concern into action, I think it'll be a lot less destructive than what they're currently doing, right?
Sometimes, and sometimes, but I kind of relate this the way that even Jesus is the way Jesus was. I mean, Jesus didn't like, he'd go around and he'd teach people and he'd give people these analogies and stuff like that. But I mean, it was all about choosing. You had to choose to follow him. He didn't like
Exactly.
he
Exactly right.
he didn't force people or try to socially engineer them into following them. He would simply just talk to them. He would spend time with them, and then he gave them the
Open the door.
choice. I mean, the choice
Well, and
was
he also recognized that he's going to fail as well. I mean, he kind of
yeah,
recognized that he's going to
yeah,
fail, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And but he did, but certain people did follow him, and all we can do is create, like, we can put a
well,
beacon
and the
out. We
people
can
that
create.
followed him betrayed him, and then they want to lead us. But
Well,
that's
some
another
of them
story.
did. One of them did, but I mean, it's also arguable that was part of the plan. But it's whatever. It doesn't even matter. But I'm just saying. I mean, all I'm saying is that, yeah. I mean, and people might betray us or whatever too. But if we create the beacon, we create the signal. We create our own bat signal type of thing that is there in the sky for those that wish to find that, to seek that sort of thing, and choose to follow it, whether or not they're and spend time with them and do what we can to try to, like, there's people that are just like, to me, that like I think are just, I have no, I can't, if you can't actually have a conversation with him, like a Lumatomi type or something like that, or someone who's just like hardcore trolling and just screaming insults at you the whole time, then there's really no point in it. It doesn't get you anywhere, and it just, like, it drags you down to their level. But if it's a person who might be a little like off on their ideas or something like that, that they have some, but they still are thinking, and they're still trying, and they're still willing to have a conversation and be open to other interpretations, then that's a person that I'm totally open to talking with and trying to put that choice out there. And I'm not saying that I know everything either. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I feel like at least the direction I'm trying to go in is a better direction than that one, because that one, I feel like, it's a stagnant place that you sit in instead of a place that moves. Whenever you focus too much on like, I mean, I feel a lot of empathy for those people, because I was like that. I was one of those people at one point in my life where I was extremely obsessed end of the world type of stuff. And like, I mean, I was convinced that 2012 was the end of everything. Like, you know, that was that everything that all that Mayan calendar shit. I really did. I drank the Kool-Aid in that hardcore, but it was really right before 2012 actually came around. There was actually a song that's on my SoundCloud that I actually wrote about that. That the last line is that I just came to I suddenly came to the realization that I'm just sick of the doom, and like that's where and
What
that's
song is it?
the one called Maudlin City, the one on Maudlin
Jeff,
City. Like it's the entire song is about my mental.
I don't think that one uploaded.
Yeah,
Jeff, did you did you look up something about the
But anyway, go
Platonic
ahead.
thing? I thought you looked it up or something.
Wait, what do you want me to look up?
No, I thought you looked up the whole Platonic thing. I thought I saw you typing away on that or something, like bringing up the Platonic, gold, silver thing. I thought that's what you were
What
bringing up on that.
Platonic what? I remember you talking about like the noble eyes. You had the
Yeah, can you AI the thing about the
low bar signal. You hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, I'm going out. My signal. I'm getting a low signal.
I
notice.
haven't even seen any glitch once, but I mean, if
Can
it's
you
my
AI
glitch on here.
You talking
Can
about
you
the
AI
Guardians?
Yeah, can you AI
And
the
the
thing
noble
about the
eye?
gold people, the people of gold and silver, and just get a brief synopsis on
No,
that?
it was the Guardians, the Warriors, and the Artisans. I think. Can you describe?
Well, but he had a very specific way he wanted to organize society in
Right.
accordance with. And I
Okay,
think if you look at the way I think if we just get a brief description on that, you'll kind of, because I think what me and Chris are saying is directly related to that
Yeah,
prescription that he.
The philosopher kings at the top, the people that were capable of knowing truth, and the auxiliaries were in the middle, which was kind of the warriors. They're the ones that protect and enforce the laws. And you have the producers or the artisans that provide for the material needs of the city. And they're the ones that create everything that you need to keep the city running. The producers were the largest class. They produce foods, goods, services. The auxiliaries, also known as the warrior class, were responsible for defending the city and maintaining internal order, like enforcing laws, trained in warfare and physical fitness. And then the philosopher kings devoted their lives to understanding true knowledge and justice so that they could effectively lead a society toward its highest good. They would not rule for their own gain or power, but for the benefit of all citizens. And we see that in the managerial class currently that thinks they know what's better for everybody else.
All right. And this is a random side thought, but did you guys remember the Monty Python skit about the city where everyone was a superhero except for and the only person that they thought of a hero was the local bicycle repairman?
No, not me.
It's a great Monty Python. I like the dichotomy of it. It's like that, if everyone has superpowers, everyone's a superhero. The person that could do something as simple as fix a bicycle, that's everyone's hero. It's the person that can do the thing that nobody else can do. The people, the elites are always the people that have like the most specialized skills and things like that. It tends to be, and I don't know my point what that was. I just thought of it.
I think it was a squirrel.
Yeah, it was a squirrel. I chased it. Sorry.
Well, what's you guys' general attitude about his prescription for the way society should be structured? Do you think that that's a generally
Well, actually, and it's important to understand about the Republic, because this comes out of the Republic. He wasn't trying to create the perfect society in the Republic. He was doing a thought. They were examining the question of what is justice. So in order to get to the heart of what justice is, they created this imaginary society that would allow them to demonstrate justice in action. So he wasn't trying to envision the perfect society for actual humans to live in. He was doing it as a little thought experiment to examine the concept of justice. So you can't take it as his prediction for action.
and see, I didn't even know that. But do you think
now,
that
he kind of try to do that in the laws, which are much worse? They're much more totalitarian and authoritarian. The laws are a social nightmare. Nobody would want to live under his society.
I think that's the underlying subject matter that we're really talking about is the concept of what is justice and to what degree can we really and I think that's why something like social justice, although it's a very abusive term and it's enacted in an abusive ways, like the general concept is something that most people yes, city and speech, yeah.
Well,
The noble lie, exactly.
that means we should just do a book club on the Republic. I think it's like 10 chapters. We could do a chapter a week.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think we
'Cause I have never read.
I think we should actually do like a thing where we read through some of this stuff like on stream. We read it and like. And
I don't know if
we
we
read out
could
loud.
do an entire reading of the Republic on stream. That might.
How long is it? I
Well,
remember
it's
reading it in
10
high school.
books. It's books, scrolls, whatever. The whole thing's a dialogue. It's divided into 10 books.
What if we just did like just took out like we just picked out like the most important parts instead of going through the entire thing? Is
I
the
mean,
entire
we
thing-
could, but to get the full experience, we like and the full content. I mean, we really should do all of Plato's dialogues. But if you want to
But-
just sing out
but-
the Republic,
But they are dialogues
you really
between
kind of
more
need to
than
do the whole thing for you.
one person. So one of us could take one role and the other would take the other one. That might be interesting to dramatize. To some
Machine
extent.
might do it on his show.
But let's see. But what is your general take on his success in defining justice, and B, the justification for a noble lie in the hunt for justice? Essentially, do you think that he makes a successful argument, or do you think that it's problematic?
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of it myself, but I mean, I think in general,
I
his
don't agree
philosophy
with
is
it as a model for society, but that's not what it was. I
Yeah.
honestly don't remember I don't know that they came to one conclusion on justice. Different people gave their different ideas, and they just kept questioning it further. And like in Socratic dialogues, questions lead to more questions, and you don't really ever come to a final conclusion, but you dissolve or strip away the answers that don't work or are partial or limited or flawed in some way. So you find out what the answers are not, but you don't really ever find out what the answer is.
Yeah,
Well-
that's that way that the conflict refines the ideas. Yeah.
Well, do you think that justice is something that we ought to structure a society around, or do you think it's just a term that we can't really quantify or qualify?
We should do the best we can. I don't know that we'll ever get.
I think
don't
it's a
we'll ever
part
achieve
of a
perfect
healthy,
justice.
functioning society. I don't know what you mean by designing it around, but it's definitely a part. I mean, we even see it in our own society, our own need for.
Well, do you think that people's
enforcement.
do you think that people's definition and notion of it is being abused at any point? Like, I mean, social justice.
I think each person's going to have their own notion, and
Yeah,
Well,
it's
but-
definitely
but-
abused
but
by
don't-
people. That's definitely true. There's definitely abuse.
Well,
of
don't
power
you
and
think
there's
that?
definitely abuse of
But don't you
authority.
think we should have some methodology?
I know that injustice, like when we experience injustice, it's felt as an emotion. So anybody that feels like that, and it's whatever their concept of justice, it might not always be justified to our eyes, but whatever they feel entitled to, when they
Can
don't
you ask
get
the-
it,
can you-
they
can you-
experience this emotion that indicates to them that an injustice has just occurred.
Can you ask the AI by what methodology should we qualify what justice in a society or something to that effect?
Well, what I would look at, I would start with the is, and before the ought, and look at what is justice in our society currently. We have law enforcement system, we have a justice system, we have the Supreme Court at the top, we have Congress that can make laws that influence justice. So how does justice currently show up in our society?
Well, we have an AI that's going to tell us what justice is too. Don't forget that.
Well, that's an assumption. We're not there yet. We don't know. I think even if we do have an AI that does that, we're still going to need the humans to ultimately make the final. I don't think the AI should be finally deciding anything. I think human judgment is still going to play a role. The machine is going to do what the machine's good at, and we need humans to do the human part, whatever that
And
is.
machine's
The
li- and
AI
machine
will help
lies
us
is
figure
gonna
that
do-
out
is
because
gonna
we'll
do
be
the dialogue
we'll be
thing.
able to see more clearly what the machine is better at and what we're better at, and then that'll
It's gonna
free
go
the
from-
human up to focus on what the human is good at, which is
It's
being
going to go
human.
from rage against the machine to justified by the machine.
Justified by the machine lies, you mean?
I'm not that worried about it. I don't think we're going to stop having judges and juries of peers and.
Yeah, I have a. I mean,
like
I'm not saying that world is impossible, but I see it very improbable.
Until they have a scientific study to say, well, we've determined that by this percentage
You
point,
read too much sci-fi. You read too much William Gibson and watch too much whatever you watch.
Well, by what metric do you judge that I watch and read too much of that?
Because of these scenarios you keep spinning out.
Well, I mean,
they're possible.
No, but wait a
it's
second.
not- it's
But
not
wait a second. You
impossible.
say that we should follow the science, and I'm saying if someone comes up with a scientific study that says the AI,
One scientific study is not the science. That's not how
Okay,
science
well,
works.
let's say there's 100 scientific studies that all say that
Let's say
AI
there's a
makes
scientific
better-
consensus
makes
that
better
AI.
judgment
Yes,
or
correct.
creates more equitable outcomes for people than human judges do. Like, let's say there's 100 studies that all say this, like they all have a consensus on it.
If that is the case, but by some probability, that does, like, AI is superior at determining outcomes, justice outcomes in humans, then at that point, I think that we would already have determined to go with the AI. Like that would just
Right.
mean that our system was improvable and able to be made efficient to the point that the AI could do it.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if you go, and that's why I'm saying I think people should be using these AI tools and ask them how do they define, terms like justice.
Well, let's ask it. I have one up right here.
Like, let's ask it what it thinks.
How
justice
do
is.
you, as an AI, define our concept of justice? It's going to tell me it's just an AI, blah, blah, blah. You should still use you should still determine that, defining justice is a complex task even for humans. What do you think me as a dumb machine is going to be able to add to this? No, I just added that part in. With diverse interpretations and philosophical complexities. As an AI, I can offer different perspectives on the concept based on how it's understood. And it gave me several drafts to choose from. This is just the first one. Fairness and equality, punishment and vindication. And then each one of those he breaks down into bullet points. Let me look at some of the other drafts. From a data-driven perspective, he can analyze vast amounts of text and data on legal systems, blah, 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 to identify patterns and trends of how society has defined and implemented justice throughout history. However, this approach relies on human interpretations of justice, which can be subjective and biased. So he acknowledges the material that he would be using to give us this answer is based on the human conceptions of justice. Through the lens of fairness and equality, he can provide principles of fairness and equality to analyze situations and as a tool for understanding different perspectives. He can access and process information from diverse viewpoints on justice, allowing it to understand the nuances and complexities of the concept, etc. Okay, ultimately, my understanding of justice is still under development. It can process information and analyze situations. I cannot stress enough. AI is just a data processing machine. It cannot think. It cannot evaluate and feel like humans can. It can process information.
Okay.
Lacks lived experience and
Aggregate.
emotional
It can aggregate
capacity
and
of
process,
humans'
yeah.
brain to divining such a complex concept. So that's a good point. Is justice ever going to reach a point where it no longer lies on the body of experience that humans bring to it and emotional capacity? So can you have justice without emotional capacity? And if so, I mean, if not, then the machine is never going to ultimately be able to take over the role of justice in
Right.
society.
Yeah,
It's
and
still
I mean,
putting
and there have been so many different science, even from Star Trek to everything else, that specifically have been about societies where they had some sort of like computers thing that decided all of the, all of the laws and who breaks the laws, stuff like that, and it's never anything but a nightmare scenario. Because the computer has no empathy and has no concept of context. It only sees the hard line that's crossed or not crossed.
Would you guys do a little experiment with me, briefly, if you don't mind?
I mean, yeah, that's the whole show.
Well, tell me what the experiment is. They'll tell you if I'll do it.
Can you ask the AI to define what social justice theory is, and just
Yeah,
Sorry.
I can do that. Real quick, let me give you these 4 broad perspectives that it's able to offer. It can do a data-driven perspective where it analyzes data for patterns. It can do it from a logical perspective, in which case justice is just, these are the rules. How do they apply to the situation? Were the rules broken or not? It's strictly logical. It can do it from a moral perspective involving human rights and values such as fairness, equality, and compassion, and it can do it from a practical perspective. So those are 4 ways it can analyze a situation to give its opinion on justice. Now you want to know about social justice.
Yeah. Ask it specifically
your-
this. Ask it, can you define what social justice theory is first? And then the second part I'll tell you after that. There's only 3 parts to this experiment, by the way.
Were you here when we got the AI to rationalize blackface?
It's a broad and complex concept, but at its core it is about fairness and equity in society. And it gives me 3 drafts. There's some key aspects: distributive justice, procedural justice, recognition justice, and participatory justice. And it gives examples: advocating for policies that promote economic equality, working to dismantle systems of oppression, whatever they are. I still don't know what a system of oppression is. Promoting diversity and inclusion in workplaces, schools, etc.
I'm being oppressed.
Empowering marginalized communities. So that was draft number 1.
Did you see him oppressing me? He was oppressing me.
Can you ask it, is there any negative hypothesis for social justice theory?
Okay, let's see how it understands that question. Is there? For social justice theory?
Yes.
While it aims for it can oversimplify complex issues. It can over-focus on group conflict. There's the potential for unintended consequences. It can erode individual responsibility. There's difficulties in implementation, and it has the potential for abuse.
Now, ask it, should we consider that any part of the negative hypothesis of social justice theory to be relevant to our lives today?
I'm already going to say, yeah, just what I know about these things.
This is where the responses start getting very interesting, I can tell you that.
I told you, like we talked about clowns the other day, and we got it to justify blackface.
I made a black AI that talked to me in Ebonics.
I know. I'm just saying, just the fact that we got it to say that, like, that it was racist to have only white-faced clowns, and therefore it would be more equitable if we had black-faced clowns.
It says it depends on your perspective, experience, and the specific context you're considering. Here are some points to ponder. Relevance depends on specific situations. There's individual versus systemic factors. There's intentional misuse versus good faith application, and openness to dialogue and nuance. Ultimately, the relative of these negatives lies in the potential to foster critical thinking and guide the implementation of social justice in a way that considers both the individual and systemic factors, avoids unintended consequences, and promotes constructive dialogue. And it says, remember, social justice theory is an ongoing discussion, not a fixed doctrine. Are you listening to that, wokies? Not a fixed doctrine. Out of here with your dogma. It is an ongoing discussion, which is liberal. That is liberalism, open dialogue. Dogma is authoritarianism. By acknowledging pitfalls and engaging in open dialogue, we can strive for its application in a way that maximizes its positive impact. We've had conversations here on stream with Lib, where when we start talking about specific policy issues and solutions, we all of a sudden, me and Chris and Lib all magically agree. And we're like, yes. Who wouldn't support that? That's a great idea. We should all be doing that. So, open dialogue. I think that's how you get around the negatives. And I would say the same thing for AI or justice or any of these other things that you have fears and concerns over. That humans, through the process of open dialogue and liberal society, like the liberal tools that we have in our open society. That is the best way to address all these things.
I think if you, I don't know. What comes to mind when we're reading all this, is like, it seems that so much of something like social justice theory comes down to really addressing intent in the same way that we were talking about earlier. Does that seem?
That's hard to do. That's always been illegal. It's like mens rea. You have mens acta and mens rea, and you can show the act,
that's
show
the
the intent
entire
behind it, and
the
that's
whole
always
first
been like a
degree, second degree
difficult.
murder type thing,
Can you ask the AI, how do you address intent in light of social justice theory?
Because social justice has the theory that it's what is it? Intent is not relevant; it's only impact. So it doesn't matter what you meant; it's how it impacted someone that's relevant, which I disagree with.
Yeah, well, that's I mean, that's
If a person got offended, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you meant to offend them.
Yeah, I know that, which is like, it's completely contrary to our whole concept of law. Like I said, we have a first-degree murder versus a second-degree murder, because second-degree murder is not premeditated, and that means that the intent was not like you didn't walk in a situation with the intending to murder somebody, as opposed to first-degree murder, which is premeditated, and that the intent is the thing that distinguishes those two things. I mean, the effect is still the same. Someone was still murdered, but if not for those concepts like that, then every single time someone was killed, indirectly or directly by their person, they would all receive the exact same punishment, and there would be no difference, and therefore that diminishes the whole concept of justice, because there are times whenever someone might be acting in self-defense and things like that, so.
I think I asked. You said demonstrate intent, but I think what you want is determine intent. How do you determine intent?
Yeah, well, I guess how does intent relate to the concept of social justice, I guess? Social justice theory, I guess, is the correct way to put it.
Let me ask you both, because it gave me it said intent is all about aligning your actions with your values and principles, which I would agree with, but it's how you determining intent can be quite complex. It involves interpreting actions, statements, and even silences within the context of larger power dynamics and historical injustices. So you can examine actions and outcomes, understand historical and social contexts, and analyze language and rhetoric. And it says, while not definitive, it can offer useful clues about the underlying intention.
Which is what I was doing about Obama, by the way.
Open dialogue and engagement. Ultimately, a direct and respectful dialogue can be invaluable in understanding intent. And there's no single definitive way to determine intent. You engage in critical analysis, consider context, and prioritize open dialogue as the key to forming informed judgments. And recognizing the complexity of intent and prioritizing productive engagement over accusatory approaches. This is where I think the woke fall short. I think they do the accusatory approach way more than they're successful at prioritizing productive engagement. I don't think they know how to engage in the kind of dialogue with people outside of the little bubble that's going to give them a better picture of somebody's intent. I think they do the same thing that people do here. They assume and then they defend that assumption instead of trying to understand the other person and what the thing actually is.
What the hell you mean, people over here?
Not the three people on this panel right now. I wouldn't say that.
What the hell you mean, people over here?
I do have to. I have a thing at 4 at the top of the hour. I have to get ready for.
Bring us with you. Bring us with you. No, just joking.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, I spend a lot of time trying to understand other people's perspectives. I make a lot of.
I don't know. I spend a lot of time fighting to have open dialogue and chipping through some of these like entrenched, hardened positions that are assumptions that people get locked into.
Well, and see, that's the thing is like when they're talking about an open, honest dialogue. I mean, that's the whole key, isn't it? How do you ever really know if you're having an open and honest dialogue? I mean you can only
open my shirt up. You see, that's what I'm doing here. See, this is how you know I'm open. You see, open shirt,
open dialogue.
Telling
That's
me,
how it
telling me
works.
how you see things, what you think, how you arrived at what you think, what your intentions were, me responding with the same version on my end, etc., and sifting through it. And the Republic or any Socratic dialogue actually would be a good model of what an open dialogue looks like. So that's another reason to do a book club.
Sure. Well, and again, I think this is kind of comes back to a lot of what we talked about as far as like, and I think this is where a lot of conspiracy people and even happenstance people, they have to infer at some level they have to start making inferences and assumptions because
But there's intelligent ways to do that, and there's just emotional or imaginative. You just imagine,
right,
like looking off of imagination ways to do it.
Sure. Well, and what I'm saying is, if there is a more accurate methodology, and you say that you kind of reject methodology, but I'm saying
there
has
is.
to
I
be
mean, there's
some sort of
logic.
standard.
There's logic. Formal logic is a method. It's a formalized system of using thinking and argument to arrive at some sort of truth. So there is logic. There's formal logic.
Sure, but there's also like
critical thinking, which I would say is part of formal logic, or formal logic can play a part in critical thinking.
Right, but see,
there's things like the scientific method, which I push on here all the time: observation, hypothesis, experimentation, conclusion.
But see,
there are
here's the thing,
methodologies out there, and I offer them on the show all the time.
Sure, but here's the thing, though. Taking an example of Socrates and whoever looking each other dead in the eye and having a conversation versus writing that down versus you and I having a conversation, and then you extrapolate that into like, the public discourse and public opinion and, the way that we see the consensus of all these different categories in society, right? Like, it's very hard to really, see the genuineness of a lot of these discourses, right? Like, and I think that's kind of what the whole Matthew North was trying to get at. He's talking about how, you're seeing Joe Rogan looking someone in the eye and you're just assuming that it's an open, honest discourse, but you don't really know what the underlying motivations of what they're talking about is or what they're saying or
no,
the
you don't know
implications of what they're saying.
like you always assume good faith. Like the best practice is to assume good faith until you have a reason not to.
Yep.
Well, I would argue that you can both assume the best faith and also in the back of your mind start looking at the worst case scenario as well, and
you should always
probably somewhere in the middle.
You should always be critically thinking. I mean, just because you're assuming good faith doesn't mean you don't use critical thinking skills. But yeah, I mean, but you still assume good. You still assume good intentions until you have reason not to. But the way you realize that the intentions may not be honest or good is by using critical thinking. So I mean, like those two
or
things
having a dialogue. Like Flo does that with me all the time. He has this tendency to assume I'm fucking with them or something or being intentionally. And then once we talk about it, he understands my point of view better. I understand his, and then we get to the realization that no, we both were operating in good faith. So like he assumes good faith, and then when he feels like the faith is no longer good, we have a dialogue about it, and then we restore that sense of good faith.
Yeah, and you and I did that earlier with the Obama thing, and again, like I think that this is kind of what we're saying. But part of the reason I pushed you so hard about Obama is because a public figure like that, there's no way to hold any sort of real account to the genuineness of what people like that are saying or doing, or what the real motivations of those things are.
Not even
right?
just a public figure. That applies to anybody. You don't even know if your bus
much more so on a higher level. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'm close with my bus driver. Okay, I'll have you know. Me and my bus driver were like this. I know who that man.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know if they're in good faith. Like sometimes people talk just to talk or say.
Well, I mean, a cop who's trying to get you to talk is going to be your best buddy or your worst enemy, depending on which role he's playing, right? Like.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, I've experienced that myself. I've had cops pull that bad cop good cop shit on me once whenever I got into an accident and they were convinced that I was
right because they know, because they're doing a Socratic dialogue where they're trying to push and pull and get you to, they're trying to get you to show a incongruence in your responses, right?
What's that? Which is it, Jeff?
They're
I said, I don't
trying
know how
to get.
Socratic cops are.
I mean,
don't know if I
it's a form of a Socratic type thing, but I don't know that I would call it Socratic dialogue
Well,
either.
asking questions is not just Socratic. Just
Well,
the
no,
fact
I'm
that
talking about
asking
like one guy would come up and be really scary and get in your face and would like yell at you and like trying to like be a drill instructor, and the other guy would come over and try to be like gentle and be your friend, so that you would like the scary guy makes you afraid, and then the other guy comes over and is nice to you, so that you feel like, well,
Yeah,
maybe I
but
can at
that's
least
not,
talk to
that
the nice
wasn't Socrates' method.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I think you could call it that, I guess, but I wouldn't call it a Socratic dialogue.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, my point is you're trying to find incongruence in A, your behavior, or B, your story, or C, your your general like attitude, or your general like approach that you're doing to answer the questions. I mean, and even what the AI said, even silence can be telling, right? Like, it's not only what you say, a lot of times it's what
Yeah,
you
but
don't say.
silence is even inference. Silence doesn't tell you much that you're not without inference.
Sure, but the point is when you're dealing with something as abstract as intent, you have to take whatever data points that you do have and make
Yeah,
certain
but you
inferences.
also have to realize that it's inference. I see people all the time like show videos and say, you can tell they're lying. Just look at their face. Like, you can see by that little smile on their face, and they're just convinced that they're reading this silent, nonverbal express as whatever they think it means, and they're convinced that that's evidence that proves, that demonstrates definitively that it's this thing. No, you're just inferring. That's a guess. That's a hypothesis. You
No,
don't
and
know.
you are
Not
correct.
knowledge.
And
Knowledge is a very specific thing. That's why I'm so into epistemology.
I agree with
What
you. I
is
agree with you
knowledge, and how do
about
we know
every
when we
single,
have it?
but pretty much every time I've ever heard someone to do that kind of thing and saying like that, you can just tell this person's lying. The only time I will say that I felt that way was that fucking the Prince Andrew interview, where like he insisted that he couldn't sweat. That guy was definitely
But
lying.
you don't know. You've convinced yourself, but it's not knowledge. It does not qualify as knowledge.
There's
You
no
don't know.
condition unless you're not sweat. It's actually it actually is.
You're once again, you are convincing yourself of that it's true, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but you don't know. There's no way to test, so it stays at the hypothesis stage, no matter how much you convince yourself of it. And that's my criticism of that type of evidence. I do have to wrap up though, because I have this thing coming up in half an hour. So I guess we can talk to Satan tomorrow on the show if y'all want.
Yeah, I mean, we have been trying to get him. We have been trying to book him for a while. It's a shame we had to bump him today, but
yeah, no, that's okay.
we'll
I don't mind at all. I think this conversation was well worth having. I'm glad we got to have it.
Well, yeah, thanks for having us on, Jeff. It was really interesting, and I would well, I'll save it for tomorrow, but yeah, I'm working on a stream idea that you might actually enjoy. Have you ever listened to Blink 182? Jeff?
Oh, I'm yeah, from the 90s. What was their famous song? My brother listened to it.
What's my age again?
What's my age again? Yeah, what's my age again? What's my age again?
Do you have a service where you can listen to like music for free or albums or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a streaming service.
If you get a chance, look up Mark, Tom, and Travis Show. It's their live album.
Yeah, I've heard it before.
They do a lot of in between, like at the end of every song, and they do a lot of jokes about Satan and sex and stuff like that. I would just like your general opinion on that, because I'm actually wanting to do an expose on Blink 182 and all their weird ties to Satanism and conspiracy and aliens and shit. Like, I think you'd be very interested in
Enema
that
Strikes
topic.
Back.
Yeah, that's the name of their album. Yeah. But yeah, that's like a preview of what I'm working on for a stream, and I've been thinking about it for like the past 5 years or more actually. But
well, if Jeff's busy tonight and you feel up to it, maybe me and you can do like a short stream or something, Jack. We can talk about.
Yeah, we can do like a little brainstorm. But if you get a chance,
we can do a crazy stream where we just talk about all the crazy stuff that Jeff doesn't want to hear about.
no, but he would actually find it interesting. But I said if you get a chance, I think you might like their music. Their music's pretty good. Even my wife liked their music. And she doesn't like.
I've always been a fan of Blink. I think Damn It's one of the best post-punk songs of its era.
Yeah, if you guys get a chance, listen to a little bit of that album. Just even like the first like 2 or 3 songs, which is like 5 or 6 minutes long, and you'll hear all their little jokes.
A long time.
Yeah, but just look at their jokes about Satan and sex and stuff, and just kind of, I would love your opinion on that, and just see what you guys think about that. But yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well,
All right. Well,
blowjob.
the family
Well,
reunion is the worst one, but yeah.
And we gained another 2 subscribers. What 132 now? So
Wow, thank y'all.
yeah, I mean, I celebrate
we
every
have liftoff.
I celebrate a new subscriber like people celebrate their Patreon members. People actually pay for it, but still, I don't care. I think it's great. Thank you to everybody in the chat today. We had a really great active chat.
Absolutely.
That was very fun to interact with. Thank you, Gary. Machine Lies. I'm surprised you didn't come on, Machine, and I don't know why you didn't. Thank you to
You all make this worth doing. I'm serious.
Reddington Destroyer. Seriously, all you guys. Like, I love the fact you guys all show
Jared
up.
Baxter.
Definitely. Yeah, I like I said, the only Christmas I said like is come on, man. Like, click the link.
We even had an Illumitomi clone come by.
Yeah, we had Auntie Dearest was in the chat today for a little bit. Man, we have this is like one of the long. We had somewhere in time. We had this is one of the longest chats I've like in terms of like like just going through it even takes a minute. Jonathan Monterio, I think he's his name I hadn't heard before. So trauma type was in there at one point. I mean, yeah, I'm just so thankful for all you guys showing up and listening to the show, and it really does like that's just interacting with the chat and you guys really do kind of propel this forward and make it feel even more worth it than like I mean we've been doing it even whenever no one was in the chat at all. And we were just completely just like kind of like talking into the void, but still we're just very thankful for the interaction. I guess I'm going to go and sign off, and good night to all, and to all a good night. Later.
Yep.
See you in
Good
Discord.
night. See you all tomorrow. Same time.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Jack.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's it. I have to run off, so we'll be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central. And I guess like, subscribe, all that shit. I never think about that. I have my website in the link if you need to contact me. Chris is selling clothes on Poshmark. And we'll be back tomorrow. Maybe we'll get to talk to Satan or summon some demons. I'll see you then. Take care.